feel the need to pick on people that are smaller than you. Like, that's never how any problem is really ever dealt with. The way that,
well, that's why they need to take it to the mat, exactly, because it often
yeah.
can't be done on the surface level. Like, they needed something deeper needs to occur. Because yeah, you're right. You can't just ask them to stop doing it. They'll be like, F you and whatever. Yeah. So
yeah, people think in certain ways, and when you're somebody who is in a mindset of aggression, you are only going to respond to aggression. Like, if I'm trying to be a great warrior, my culture emphasizes being great warriors. The only way that you are ever going to send me a message or get respect from me is defeating me on the battlefield.
This is where in Utopia, that kind of aggression can be turned into competitions. But again, the weapons, the so-called weapons, would be very soft. And then your skill can come out. So if you want to develop your aggression to be number one on that, yeah, well, we can have the aggression games, if you will, where all countries can take part.
Speaking of aggression, the root of so much aggression in men is rooted, I think, in the circumcision trauma. So not to go deep in this topic because it's a brutal one, but Jin, would circumcision in JINtopia, would circumcision be completely banned and outlawed, or what? Would it be seen as just complete mutilation of the child and therefore child abuse? How does that fit into JINtopia? Is it allowed or completely banned? Or not allowed, I should say, or completely illegal?
It would be there. It would be there for those who want it. Those who don't want to have their child circumcised don't have it. Those
so you
who
would
want it, have it.
So hold on. So your government that's trying to keep children safe and keep everybody safe is allowing parents to genitally mutilate their children?
Listen to me clearly here. This is only if the people. It's not me. I'm not advocating for that. My children are not circumcised. Okay, so there you are. But I am. I am though. I was, but my children are not. Now, basically, if the people decide it. People who decide whether or not this is going to be a thing or not me as such. Okay, the government is the people. You are the government. Here to put these things to you and put it to the vote. So if it's,
but it's kind of interesting. Like, people kind of view their children like in a way like as property, as if they own them. But it's actually pretty interesting to think that you really don't. Like, you may have been the channel by which they came into the world, in that way, and you built the foundation of the structure. But we don't just own these children to start snipping their parts of their body when they're born. That's
exactly,
a completely
like
infants have rights, and that's violating their rights. Even if people are into it, like for whatever reason, it just completely still violates their rights. They have no choice in that. So I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, I have 100% agreement with what you said there. You see, hence I didn't have my children circumcised. Secondly, I told my children that when you're in this house, democracy really exists because you have rights in this house. And if you see Daddy doing something you don't like, you say, Daddy, I don't like that, because you're not to be scared of Daddy. That's the thing. That's what I said to them. But when you leave the house, democracy is gone. It's not out there. Only in this house it exists. So they knew they had rights. You understand?
All right, so you're JINtopia. So you're in JINtopia. You don't have a hard set thing on because before you were saying basically the idea, like you were laying out this idea that all weapons would be banned or illegal. Like, you couldn't have any weapons, but the police would have weapons, and then the whole point of the police is to keep everyone safe. Like, you were putting that forth. Therefore, if people have, so make them not have weapons. So anyways, and then when you got to that last part, that's why I was just thinking. Anyways, and then the circumcision question came up, because I mean, if you're trying to keep everyone safe, does that include the infants not being vaccinated and snipped and all that stuff?
Absolutely, Gio. Vaccination is going to be abolished. There will be no more vaccines coming out. That industry is killed dead, stone dead. Hopefully, if the people decide it, of course, through education, because the people have to decide. And once you put the dangers of it up there and see how it's never worked through education, the people will decide. Most people will say no, thank you. And if
Right, so let's say, so you would actually make it illegal, so you would go after them with these weapons that they don't have. If they start, like if somebody just started making vaccines in their basement, like you would actually, see, some would see that as like totalitarian, like some might say, oh, they should be free to make these poisons, but are you saying that it would actually be illegal, like that they would be reprimanded or not, strictly not allowed to? Because it's kind of an interesting dynamic, like how, like enforcing control for good or enforcing control for bad, like is all forcing control bad, or is there a forcing control for good that is good? It kind of goes into that question.
So I'm just curious, at what point in this life do I have control and decision-making for my own safety?
In the JINtopia?
Your safety will be, in JINtopia, most dangers have been removed. So what would you envisage as a danger that you would need a weapon? Because I know you are maybe going on about the rights to bear arms. You have the right to own a weapon, but it will be at the gun club. It will not be at your house, because living in JINtopia will be a safe place to live. You're not going to be having people wanting to steal your property, because everybody's rich. Everybody's got what they need. You just got to work 3 to 4 days a week. And then the rest of the week, you're off to enjoy your free time.
Jin, what about the oldest job in the world? Jin, what about the oldest job in the history of mankind? Are you going to ban that?
What is it, prostitution?
Yes,
prostitution. That's an interesting question.
You don't have money, remember, Jin? No, your JINtopia has no money. So,
yeah.
So people would just be,
really.
yeah, you would just consent to it. And it's either consent or not consent, basically, at that point, if there's no money.
becomes rape, then you go to jail. If you're raping women, that's antisocial behavior. You're removed onto Slackers Island, where, and the Slackers Island is contributing to JINtopia anyway, because they're going to have to work there. But that's it, you see. So the system is going to be beautiful.
We'll just make it be
AI
Japan.
assistance. It's going to be beautiful.
We could just turn Japan into Slacker Island, right?
Are we going to have community-based prostitutes that everybody has to take turns with?
The hottest
That's
working
just a 3 to 4 day a week job. Is this what you're just a? That's what you
Yeah,
do?
somebody's got to do the job, and nobody's going to get paid for it. So some dude is going to have pride in their job as a prostitute.
Wow.
Oh, what
If
is this?
that
Smuggery?
individual
Where you
wants
got
to do that, that's fine.
What about abortion, Jin? Completely
Great
banned and
point.
illegal, or allowed, or how about that one?
Yeah, completely banned. Completely banned. Obviously, again.
Dio's trying to start a
people.
riot up in here.
I would hope it's banned. But again, it would be put to the people. The people would decide that, and I would hope it's banned. I don't like the idea of abortion, really.
So you're gonna send a woman off to Slacker Island because she, did something to stop the growth of a baby within her own body?
Well, she'd go under psychological evaluation first and foremost. Obviously, that's going to be something that, why did she do it? You understand, even though she knew that the laws were in place. And then would I punish? It would depend on the circumstances as to how she became in that situation. And again, who would be performing that? Because in JINtopia, if the people rule it as a no-no, then no doctor is going to be doing that. So who's going to perform it?
Well, she could do it herself. Yeah,
There's certain
there's ways to
herbs
abort your own. You can
There's
abort your
certain
own baby.
herbs you can take that are freely able to be grown.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
there's a lot of
woman's
ways women
body.
do
Like I can't see you making any law against like a woman doing whatever she wants to her own body. I don't know.
Yeah,
With AI.
that's correct.
With AI, she can do whatever
Right,
she
yeah.
wants. Like you said, with the aid of AI, you can freaking abort all the freaking babies you need, right? You can abort
I mean,
all
this-
the
Okay,
down
then
there.
if it's if it becomes a regular thing by the same woman, obviously she's needing psychological evaluation there, man. And what
I mean,
does
this-
one do?
Dude, it's because there's where they're sending those baby fetuses off to.
Yeah, this just goes back into the religious freedom point. Is that
Is
there's
it
a whole
time for
bunch
the
of religions.
reptilians? Or is there time for the reptilian overlords from the underworld, Jeremy?
Yeah,
Sorry, go
yeah.
ahead, Oscar.
There's a whole bunch of religions that have different ideas of what is okay and what is not okay. And you're essentially saying that everybody needs to be following the religion of freedom, living in nature, and psychological evaluations. Psychological evaluations being the thing that is amazing and great and infallible.
Yes, you're making it sound rather odd. JINtopia is an odd place to be, but no, it's not just like that. Yeah, basically, remember, you are entitled to enjoy your religion. JINtopia is controlling humanity's wastage, and we're trying to internationally standardization. That's what we're doing here. You're still going to be the Japanese, you're going to be the Chinese and the French. These things, these cultures don't die because of JINtopia. They just do not. You understand what I'm saying? So what you're putting forward here is a misrepresentation of what JINtopia is really about. Okay.
And what about when these cultures? What about when these cultures have ideals that go against JINtopia? They don't believe in JINtopia.
Such as what? What would it be? Give an example of a religion going against JINtopia. What would they be doing? Go ahead.
Multiple wives, 5 wives.
That's permitted in Islam, so no one's going to take that away. Sorry.
No, what I'm saying is like freedom is a big thing in JINtopia. Whereas what about people that don't care about freedom or think that freedom in the way that it is defined in JINtopia is important, and they have other things that they feel like are more important?
about genital
You see, the
mutilation.
thing about
There's some
JINtopia is when
Muslims
you
that believe in freaking circumcising girls.
Yeah, that's going to be abolished. That will be abolished completely. Genital mutilation has to go. No room for that in JINtopia. But again, we have to put that to the vote of the people. The people have got to say, yeah, we don't want that. Once they've said that, that's outlawed. Never going to happen.
So that's going against certain religions, which think that it's an important practice to do.
Well, that's because it's damaging. That's damaging the human body and the woman. The woman is being damaged here, and no woman on this earth that men and women who are born from can be damaged in that way. So that's outlawed. That would
Okay.
be outlawed.
So at this point, you have this entire culture that is saying we cannot exist under the rules that JINtopia is giving to us. So we either cease to exist or we fight against JINtopia.
Yeah, then they're going to be the losers. They're going to be the losers. I guarantee you. They are going to be the losers because you're going to have more people who are going to stand up against such groups. They're going to be outnumbered. They have no weapons. They can't make any weapons. They're going to end up on Slackers Island. They're going to wish they're going to be running back to JINtopia soon enough. Okay.
Why would Saudi Arabia not be able to make weapons?
Saudi Arabia, if it's under JINtopia lifestyle, let's just say, way of living, they won't need to make weapons of mass destruction. Because
No, but that's the
they don't
entire
have
point. Is
weapons.
JINtopia says
Hang on.
that Saudi Arabia isn't allowed to exist in the way that they want because they can't do
No,
female circumcision.
That's not what we're saying. We're saying that that is harming the woman. So no, that cannot be allowed. Sorry, doesn't matter what religion you got there.
Yeah, and so you're saying that
Wait a
what
minute.
these people want.
Let me get to my point. Let me get to my point. Let
Jin's
me
got
get to
vote
my
now.
point. Yeah, let me get to my point. Right. Once you start to harm the woman, the child, that cannot be allowed to happen. Sorry, cannot.
Yes, and the majority of the people in this one geographical location disagree with that. Most women will agree with, female circumcision. Most of the men will agree with female circumcision. So all of a sudden, you're saying that this culture cannot exist under JINtopia. So this culture will now fight JINtopia.
I missed. What is this practice? What's the one?
Female circumcision.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's in the same category as doing it to the men. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a very young child and whatnot. I mean, yeah. In the same category.
Yeah.
Same category as circumcision, though. Yeah, it's the same as circumcision for men.
Yes. So JINtopia, it has to, through force, stop this culture from doing what the majority of this people in this culture want to do. Therefore, the people are going to revolt against JINtopia.
It sounds like
no, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. It's the education. Look, it's the education. So the said group who practices female genital mutilation and circumcision, these groups will be educated as to how bad that practice is. First thing, education. Everybody will come under the same page. Okay.
So, Jin,
after the education,
doctors are still being trained to do it today in the system. So
you're trying to train people
at the highest mainstream of I mean, whatever you're talking about. I mean, it's being promoted and trained to the highest level, quote unquote, doctors within that whole pharmaceutical paradigm. But yeah, go ahead.
So you're trying to train people out of their religion. You're essentially saying, we're going to teach you, like we as the global empire, or as the worldwide empire, are going to teach you that your religion is wrong and evil.
Sounds like an absolute.
Stopping people from traumatizing children. It's just stopping people from traumatizing little babies and infants and children who can't fend for themselves.
Yeah. So I'm not defending the practice.
But if their culture was killing people, would you mean you just let them kill people? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
so that was the next question. Jin, are there absolute laws that can't be voted on? Because I heard you say they were going to be voted by the people. Are there going to be absolute laws?
Well, they're going to be, once the people who have voted for it, that becomes absolute, doesn't it? Because it can no longer happen because the people have willed that. Do you understand? Okay? The people have spoken.
So what if they vote and then they decide to change? So I guess there are no absolute laws?
Then if they want to change, if the people are moving to wanting to have genital mutilation as a thing, the people have to get themselves together, put it through, and then it can be voted on, of course.
And then what about...
You have the freedom to do that.
What about slavery? I guess they won't need slavery.
That's gone. AI, we're going to have AI. There won't be any slavery. AI, we're going to use AI to assist us. So human slavery will be abolished. Gone. It's gone. There'll be no need for it.
I bet if you had real voting, if it was real voting of like, let's say that so we all have our phones, like and they are all tracked with all their IMEI numbers and all that. So like, it is possible that you could ping everyone on Earth a certain question, and if they put it in on their own phone, that it would be legitimately counted. That would be so interesting if that was done legitimately. Because, for example, should these people be allowed to genitally mutilate, their young boy, the infant females and males, etc. It's I think if you actually did a poll, now I know it's today's world, everyone's got different viewpoints. Although I'm quite sure today, well, I don't know. See, a lot of people would say the female one, absolutely. A lot of people might say, but then for somehow the circumcision is right in the mainstream. So I guess for the men, you know what I'm saying? I guess some would not. But I guess what I'm saying overall, just in an overall thing though, is just that if you had real voting, it may actually give pretty accurate reflections on what the truth is. I would be interested to see if you really was really fair. Ideally though, everybody would have to be psychologically healthy though, because if people are should you be allowed to kill people? People are yes. I mean, okay, that's a different thing.
Yeah, I mean that just goes into basic problems of democracy. Even if it is 100% totally accurate, you're still getting to the point to where whoever controls information and whoever is best at propaganda essentially controls the world. You're taking the power away from a king and you're giving it to actors essentially.
Okay, another idea would be this: age of consent. Once the age of consent is agreed upon, whether it's 16, 18, 20, whatever the number is, at that age, the individual can decide whether or not they want to have their genitals circumcised or female genital circumcision. They decide for themselves. I think that would be the best way to go anyway.
Yeah, but you're essentially saying these other cultures that have their other cultural practices are not allowed to exist. Everybody agrees with those cultural practices in that one community, and you're coming in as the American or JINtopian global empire and saying, oh, you guys all have to do these things our way. You have to do it the way that we decide, because different cultures are going to have different ethoses.
Well, that's why I asked about the circumcision. That's why I asked about the circumcision, because some might think that today we should go into hospitals and just be absolutely ban it or just completely make it illegal, that you can't even do it to that extreme. So that's shutting down the entire mainstream medical system, or at least that part of it. One of the major practices that they do on pretty much every child, probably these days, even more so, and all that. So, I mean, it is like standard at, you know, the kind of quote unquote highest level of like in these first world countries, a lot of them. So I'm just saying, like, you're talking about a much smaller culture that does it to females, whereas they're doing it to the males. So yeah, I mean, that topic is kind of a huge topic in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah, that's why. Hang on.
Chemotherapy
Yeah,
allowed
that-
in JINtopia?
I mean, if you really
Can
want to
you
look
repeat the
out,
question again?
like everybody who is from age 0 to like Jin is saying, you know, 18, let's just say 18, so it's a common age of consent thing. From like 0 to 18, like generally humans are like trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure their life out. They're growing. They're going through these fundamental growth periods of coming to their own sense of identity and awareness. We all went through it, so we know what it's like. And then getting to a point where they're, you know, that's why 18 is like generally at the end of puberty, or at least it should be pretty much, you know, nearing the, you know, be over by then, which is why 18 is a certain, you know, that date or that age is often used. So, so it is there in terms of like, if you want to run it in a way where you kind of protect the safety of those people from age 0 to 18 by completely just like keeping them under the wing, keeping them under your wing, as it were, you know, and not letting them hurt themselves and not letting them hurt others, and then doing the best to kind of have a good environment for them. So, I mean, that would include, you know, mutilating their body in any way, one could say. Although I know, you know, people like, you know, kids like pierce their ears, you know, before 18 and stuff. And that's a little bit more minor than like actually cutting a part of the penis, which is like a reproductive organ and everything related to that. But so, yeah, I mean, there could be that idea, and you know, almost just like enforcing the safety of their body and all that until they're 18, and then there's that idea. But it is kind of enforcing a certain level of control. But like, what if they do want to do it to themselves?
Let's not forget that the
10, you
creator,
know?
the creator. Let's not forget that the creator created the human body perfectly. So the idea of circumcising or genital mutilation, I don't understand the benefits of that. Do you
Yeah,
understand?
nobody's defending it at all.
It's only for it's trauma-based mind control. It's really
There's not a single person here that's like defending it. So like we don't need to go into the morality of if it's good or bad.
They don't want their women to be enticed into you know, sex at younger ages, so they take away any pleasure that can happen. So that's like their whole thing behind it. I went to this thing in Washington where there was like they were spending like $30 million a year doing genital reconstructions for like these illegal people that were coming in from gosh, I think it was like Uganda or somewhere in Africa, and like all these girls are coming in with like infections, like really messed up shit. So this one like congresswoman, my girlfriend, was like kind of supporting, because she was against genital mutilation. She was making it a law in Washington because so many little girls were coming in. She wanted to make it like the parents punishable, punishable by, you know, they were doing it themselves. Like they had like videos, like, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, not to get
girls,
too not to get like,
yeah,
that's intense,
like, it's
dude.
terrible.
That's really intense. And not to get too graphic, but actually like the foreskin on the penis is actually the comparable to the clitoris in a lot of ways to the female. So yeah, just
I'm
saying.
sure
Yeah,
it's
nobody.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
my mom decided not to do my brothers because she saw me and my other brothers.
Bro, what did I
try
just
so
join
hard.
into?
Yeah, nobody is defending the practice. We're just using it here as just an example. It's just like if an entire local, regional area, geographical area of people, they all agree that something that they want to do, that JINtopia says is illegal. Now, JINtopia needs to have the power to go in there with guns and enforce that law that goes against what the people in that individual place has.
Well, not really, no, because first step would be education. Look, you see, first step, there would be education to that group as to why it is not good, because God brought us on this earth perfectly. The idea that you're removing genital just so that they don't have sex, that's selfish. And
Yeah,
then
you're
medical ramifications. Okay, hang on, please let me finish. The medical ramifications, you could be damaging this woman, this boy, because of this. So we need to stop that practice. That's all. I don't see that as.
You are saying that this community is not allowed to invoke their own religious freedom and not to have their own culture unless it agrees in lockstep with what JINtopia is. If a local culture has anything that goes against the creed and ethos of JINtopia, they are not allowed to do that.
Yeah. But not when it's harming the human race or their own race, even their own children. No, that can't be allowed.
Yeah, and so you need to come.
Obviously, again, hang on. I hadn't even finished. Only if the people decide. Remember, it's not me as such. So we're going to put it to the people, and it's the people who are going to decide. The people are the government. Remember that. If the people say no to genital mutilation, that means no. And that race has, and it's going to be because of the reasons we've said, medical ramifications of such an operation. Okay. That's it. And it's the people that decide. It's not JINtopia. It's the people who decide. Remember that. In JINtopia, the people. Remember that. Thank you.
Why do people in Saudi Arabia care about the opinions of what an American in Seattle thinks? Why should they let the vote of somebody in Brazil have anything to do with the decisions that they're allowed to do with their own people and their own culture?
Again, if they're harming themselves, so you remember this JINtopia where you're meant to be free and there will be no weapons and everything else. So if somebody is doing such a thing, they will come under psychological evaluation. Okay, and if that persists, be deemed a danger to themselves and a danger to society, they'll go to an island. Simple as that.
So it is a psychological evaluation?
Yeah, that would be part of psychiatrists, those who are experts in psychology without the use of drugs. Now, the only time drugs may be used if there's violent tendencies. And the only reason we want to use the drug is to calm the individual down. That'd be it, nothing else.
So it's a psychological evaluation and imprisonment, which needs to be enforced through guns. And nobody in Saudi Arabia locally...
hang on. Not necessarily, not guns. You can use tasers, for example. You don't have to use a gun. The only time you would need to use that is if the individual is resisting. You know, and when they are resisting, you have to use what's known as measured force. Measured force. So you can either pick them up, and if they're resisting, then you'd have to tase them short while and then carry them off. You have to do that, okay? Because they're resisting, and if they're resisting in a violent way, which means the security personnel's life's going to be in danger, then you tase. You're not going to use gun. Gun doesn't come into it.
So I just wear some thick enough leather to where the taser doesn't work, and I use a machete, and then all of a sudden your taser doesn't work, and I kill all of you.
Well, again, you know, you'll be in serious trouble there because I think before you'd even get to raise that, because not only will you have personnel men, you would have these surveillance spherical balls. So if you're going to act in a violent manner, you might find that a laser beam has come across and cut the machete off completely. Boom. So now you're hitting the security man with just a piece of wood now. You understand? You know, and then you'd be tased again. You'd be tased with a more powerful taser. You will be tased. Don't you worry.
I mean, you can't tase through like a certain level of thickness. It's very easy to have armor that would resist a taser if you wanted to.
Why would you be having that leather suit in the first place? Why would you be? Why would you be having that leather suit that you're going to put on?
There's plenty of jobs that would have roughly equivalent leather available suits that would be taser immune. Like normal jobs would have.
But why would you be wearing one? Why would you, if it were you as the individual, why would you be wearing it? Why? Have you just finished? You've just finished work, and now you want to take on the system of JINtopia. What's going on in your head? You see,
because
you'd be a perfect. Hang on, you'd be a perfect candidate for psychological evaluation, right there.
Because I disagree with what JINtopia is trying to force on me and my people, and they are trying to take me away. They're trying to kidnap me to take me away for a psychological evaluation. So I'm going to react violently against that to resist the kidnapping that JINtopia is doing.
That's where the security forces will be taking you for a psychological evaluation. Simple as that. Remember, you're going against what the people have decided in JINtopia. It's not me.
But that's the thing, is that the people in Saudi Arabia disagree with what JINtopia is saying. They're revolting against JINtopia.
Unfortunately, they're going to have to come under those rules. Unfortunately, that's part of being in JINtopia. If they choose to go against JINtopia, well, JINtopia is going to have to put its foot down, and that is psychological evaluation all round. And if they if they're going to insist in being antisocial, they're going to go to the island where there's nothing but bush.
Like Guantanamo Bay? Dude, sounds like America.
It will not be that luxurious, believe you me.
So you're going to have to take them away by force of people that are resisting you, which will be a form of warfare.
Of course, because they are anti-social behavior. So they will go to an island where they can exhibit all that nonsense they want to do it on that island.
You're going to have to take that entire population away by force.
You want to mutilate yourself, you go to the island. The only problem is there'll be no metal, no steel. Everything you're going to be using, you have to make it yourself out of wood.
Well, Yasuke, are you against enforcement of things, or is it just what's being enforced?
No, I'm just saying that different places are going to have different ideas of what they consider to be good laws. And so if this global empire, which is essentially what JINtopia is a global empire that has to enact things through force against the local cultures which have different beliefs. It's literally just the American empire with different words attached to it.
Everyone's against the one world government unless it's theirs.
What about the samurais? They're going to hate you, Jin. You're going to take away their swords?
Yeah, just in the sense, I think that different cultures...
Now we're not being serious, are we? We're not being serious, because JINtopia doesn't take away your culture. What it does is it's standardization across the earth. Your culture exists. No money at all. So you're free to have what you have. You live in your country. You work 3 days a week. You go to work. You enjoy your life. You go to the supermarket. You gather your food. You bring it on. No money there. You've got no money transaction. Okay, that's gone. You travel around the world. You just show your ID card, your passport, right, and you go through. You book your hotel rooms. No money involved. You're enjoying your life. So I don't see where all this negativity is coming from. Because if that's going to be happening, that means you are mentally disturbed somehow. You need psychological evaluation because you are living true freedom, and yet you've got problems. Can you understand?
So you're going to psychologically evaluate an entire country that disagrees with you because JINtopia is trying to top down enforce something that they disagree with.
Well, but the thing you brought up was like, I mean, this female genital mutilation. Like, what ages are they doing it to those young? Is that like infants' age, like they do circumcision, or is that what age do they do that? Because that was the example you brought up, right?
Yeah, nobody agrees with that practice. Nobody agrees with that practice.
All different ages, yeah.
Wait, but is that hold on, Jen? Just hold on for a second. Your mic is really rowdy. I know you can the background. Okay, let me just ask you real quick. Okay, when you just said right there, is that the point you're saying too? Jin is going to go in and change their whole culture. Is it the one of the genital mutilation thing? Is that still on that one, or are you using a different example?
I'm just saying literally anything that a culture has that is in disagreement with JINtopia. We don't have to use the female genital mutilation example. It can be literally anything.
Well, how about murder? Like maybe there's like people they're cannibals. Like if there's a group that's cannibals and they want to kill each other and eat each other, but then they want to kill other people too and eat them. Do you personally think there should be some enforcement to not let that happen, or do you think it's just like live and let live, let them go and just let them go killing everyone?
I mean, I personally don't think there should be some like global empire acting as the world police like JINtopia would be.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that does.
Yeah, but
it answers it on a general way.
He didn't answer the question though, did he? He didn't answer the question that was put to you. You're scared. Do you think that cannibals should be allowed to go around and eating other people?
Send them to Slacker's Island.
Yeah. So there are real world examples of this. There are islands of cannibals. They do murder people. They do all of this stuff. I do not think America should come in and like force everybody on that island to essentially stop their entire like culture and become part of the American empire. I don't think that would be a good thing to do.
It's not an American empire as such. It's everybody. There is no one country leading it. All countries belong. It's everybody's. There is no, you can't point to a country and say that's the leader because there is no country leading anything. Everybody's living together here. So that's the wrong image anyway. Secondly, you still didn't answer the question. So you're saying that the cannibals should be allowed to eat each other and then move on to eat other human beings. But do we need to stop that? That's the question that's on the table. Do we as a race need to stop that or allow it to continue? That's all.
Yeah, I do not think we should go there and like force our hand onto them. No.
Yeah, no, I do understand Yasuke's position because I kind of thought he was going to say that, and I will say, like in my mind, I understand that it's like an extreme freedom view, basically, like just like live and let live to the max. Think live and let live to the point to where you just don't enforce. Like I think about that even with okay, so with the abortion thing, the people who are on the side that the woman should have the rights, like legally, to do what she wants with her body, fair enough. But then there's the thing of okay, well, even if that's not illegal for her to do it, but then there's the fact that should abortion itself even be allowed or not? Now, the extreme freedom position, even if you do think the woman should have freedom, whatever, well, I don't know, really on either side, the extreme freedom could be, freedom perspective, could be that if those two people, wherever they live, wherever they are, want to get together and this doctor guy or whatever he is going to help this woman, do the abortion, that like the extreme freedom would be that they should still be allowed to do it. Kind of similar to what Yasuke is saying. It links to that in a way. Whereas like if there's cannibals living on an island, just live and let live, let them be. But that is a deep moral ethical thing. I mean, Yasuke, you're okay to not step in and just allow people to be being eaten over there and just not, because that's the other side of it.
Yeah. What if?
Yeah, I mean, what is
came to you, Yasuke, and they said, "Please save us. No one's saving us. Save us, please."
I mean, it's just like, what is the JINtopia solution? The JINtopia solution is to go in there, give everybody a psychological evaluation, take this island tribe, and then put them on another island where they still have all of the same beliefs. They still try to do the same things. So essentially, you're never going to educate that population into trying to become
you're
something
misrepresenting
else.
It. You're misrepresenting it, Yasuke. You really are, because at the end of the day, it's the people that's going to decide. The guns are not necessary because people don't have guns in JINtopia anyway. So the security, they would have the gun, but they're not going in guns drawn. No need for that. People don't have guns. If anything, they're going to be using taser if there's strong resistance. But before it gets to that stage, there are other steps prior to that. Education. We're going to get this race to understand that what they're doing is wrong for these reasons. Can they not see this? That's education first. Come on, man.
Stop eating people, please. Thanks.
No.
Yeah, so you're assuming that they can reason in the same way that you will. And if you give them a good enough argument for why cannibalism is actually bad, then somehow you'll convince them.
Yes, I think we can do that. Yeah, remember, the Christian religion traveled all over the world to bring their religion. And what did it come by? It came by a stick, a gun, and swords in the end. Do you understand? Okay? So your religion, as you, or whoever's a Christian here, that happened. Now, what JINtopia is putting forward isn't that brutal. We're saying to you that this practice is wrong. This is not why you're meant to be on the earth. There's food out there you can be eating. And genital mutilation is wrong because God made the human body perfectly. What are you doing? Do you understand? Look at the rest of the world. Take them around the world. Let them see what's going on elsewhere. It could be just lack of education. That's all. It's not brutal. We're not coming down like a sledgehammer here. You're free, remember? And we're coming in to say what you're doing is wrong in accordance to the rest of the world. Look at how we're living. This is what you're doing is.
Yeah, you're free until you're not free.
I mean, it's just how many times have we attempted to educate?
Okay, go ahead.
How many times have we attempted to educate behaviors out of populations and then it just doesn't work? Like, how many times are you going to, I'm not going to use I could use inner city gangs as an example, but like, it's not like a lot of these populations that do these things haven't had attempts at people to sort of like civilize them. It's just that not everybody responds to, logical, coherent arguments. Most people don't respond to logical, coherent arguments. Like this idea that we can just, if we have good enough reasoning skills, we can just convince everybody to think exactly like us is just, I mean, it is literally a utopian ideal.
I feel you can educate said race that are eating cannibals, and through the generations, it will change. From the moment you educate, because people who speak the language will be there, so they'll be able to communicate. We have AI anyway, so we'll be able to communicate with these people, and they will understand exactly what's going on. Plus, they can travel around the world and be meeting other people from around the world and see how other people live and see that it's not right, and they'll go back, speak amongst themselves, and change their ways. It may take a generation, but it will happen. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what God put us on this earth to do, to help one another. Remember? Okay, thank you.
But Jin, real quick, man. Like literally, what you just described is what the New World Order is about. That's literally their description. They want to.
I'm sorry,
they want everyone to be global.
No. That is
they want everyone to think the same way.
Let me give it to you. The New World Order.
Come on, bro. I can't even talk for 2 seconds.
It's a devaluation of the human race. You talk a lot as well. Let me talk now.
I haven't even said anything.
The New World Order. You've been talking a lot. Let me talk and let me finish. The New World Order, okay, is a devaluation of this earth and everything on it. It is a corrupt system. JINtopia that we put forward isn't corrupt. There's no corruption. There's no amassing of wealth. No controlling of.
You just falsely accused Peter of something. You falsely accused Peter of something, and now you want to advocate for your JINtopia. What's up, bro?
What did I say? What did I say?
You accused
you said I've been talking the whole time. I haven't said anything. I was trying to get in.
No, I didn't say you. No, I did not say you were talking the whole time. I said you talk a lot, and I give you room to talk a lot. Let me finish what I got to say. That's all. That's all I said. Didn't say you're talking all the time. Didn't use those words. Please don't do that. All I'm saying is this. The New World Order is a devaluation of the human race. JINtopia is putting back value for Earth and everything on it. That's all. You can't look at it like the New World Order. That's a corrupt system of enslavement. Okay.
Okay. Are you gonna let Biasticles talk now, or are you just gonna keep rolling, bro? Can't get a word in JINtopia.
I'm good, dude.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but there are some like overlaps with some of these concepts, Jin. There's like Venn diagrams that have overlaps, and I think a lot of these things can be a slippery slope very quickly. Or can get to be a slippery slope very quickly. So it is pretty a complex topic, and because some of the things that you're saying, if they were like interpreted in a slightly different way, can be seen in terms of like the 1984 level of stuff. I'm not saying that you're saying 1984, but some of like the surveillance and all the weapons are taken away and some of these things. So.
I mean, the point that he's making is
everything would be better if I had the power.
Yeah, the point that he's making is that it's the exact same enforcement structure as the current like one world government, just with different ideals.
No, it's the people. Again, you seem to be missing the main ethos here. It's the people who decide. I don't decide. I'm not your leader, so I have no rights. Let's say you elected me to do something. It wouldn't give me the right to then start amassing weapons, and I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd lose my job.
How would you get rid of them? How would you get rid of them,
though? You just vote me out. And if I don't move, you remove me by force.
No. How would you get rid of the guns? Because everyone has guns. You say in JINtopia, no one's going to have weapons.
Yes. If you want a weapon, you can belong to a gun club, and your weapon will be locked up at the gun club, the armory. And you go there to grab your gun, go off with your instructors, go out hunting, shooting at the range. That's fine. Your weapons will be there. But
it's already like that, Jin. Certain countries, you guys probably know better than I do. It's already like that in certain countries.
Like Canada?
Yeah, but
what is it? I think is it like Ireland? Maybe like you can't. What you guys know offhand? Which ones? Where like you only have you can only have your gun at the gun club. UK. Yeah, the UK. You can only keep it at the gun club. Yeah, so that's
the question he's asking is how do you get rid of the guns that are already here and already among the population? Not what happens after you do that.
Especially from the women, because a lot of women want guns to protect themselves.
I think I could rig the election.
Yeah.
It could become JINtopia once I rig your election, Jin.
It's going to be taken over from JINtopia.
The election is down to the people. Yeah, remember, it's you people are going to decide what you want. I'm not going to decide it. Everything you need will be put up on the boards, and you decide what you want, and you lot decide your priorities, and then it gets done. And then you delegate people who put their hands up who wants to do that, and then get it done.
Oh.
Simple.
So-
isn't
so-
it?
Jen, all right,
Keep my guns. Keep my
Jen,
guns.
can you assure us that it's not going to be Hunger Games? Are you gonna host that? As long as you're not gonna have Hunger Game events.
Yeah. So you're just saying somebody in Seattle.
No.
So you're saying
What
that somebody in
happens-
Seattle has a vote
Hold-
over
hold on real
how
quick,
somebody in
sorry,
Mongolia lives. Yeah.
Let me ask Jin. So what happens when you die, Jin? What happens when JINtopia becomes corrupt? Where's your checks and balances?
It won't become corrupt because there's no money there. Money is what leads to all kinds of corruption. Okay. So
No,
this,
people lead to corruption. People are infallible.
For
Are not
power.
infallible.
Yeah, because, no, that's not true. I will never accept that as a thing in humanity. It's some kind of precious thing that they're holding that gives them some kind of power. The power is in all of the collective. All of you are powerful. You all
Yeah, but there are
decide
bad people
the
out there,
destiny of
Jim.
humanity.
Not everyone has a good conscience and a good soul and good ethics and morals and values.
Yes,
That's the world
and
we
those
live in.
people will stick out. Those people will stick out, and they will get psychological evaluation as to why they're exhibiting this post corruption from where we were before slavery. Why are you still in this mode? Let's check you out. What's up? Do you understand? It's easy, really.
So you're going to psychologically evaluate entire countries that go against the ethics of JINtopia.
I don't think entire countries are going to be doing that. That's not going to be happening. Currently, you are not free today as you're sitting there bringing up these scenarios, which are interesting. Remember, you sitting there today, you're not a free man.
Yeah,
You're
but
under an illusion
how
if you
could-
think you are.
How could you differentiate between someone who needs psychological evaluation and someone who's a religious fanatic?
Religious fanaticism, if that was still a thing in JINtopia, they're going to stand out like a sore thumb, aren't they?
So
Stand out.
religious practices, where do you draw the line on what's acceptable and what's not? That's
No
basically
one's going to
Yaski's point.
intervene. No one's going to intervene with anyone's religious practice as long as it's not, as we had decided earlier on, harming individuals. It can't be a religion where people are being harmed, body parts are being removed, blood is being shed. That's going to stop because that's not what the Creator put us on this earth to be doing.
There's a lot of religions that do that, including Islam.
Oh, well,
They do.
again,
They
they're
do
going to come under the microscope, aren't they? Obviously.
Yeah, so you're going to have an entire
self-flagellation.
country that needs to get psychologically evaluated.
Culture, multiple countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of practices are we talking about? Let's highlight some.
I don't agree with them. I don't agree with them, Jin.
Neither do I. But let's see what kind of religious practices are you talking about? Bring up some examples.
Self-flagellation, like a form of self-flagellation in Islam and in certain extreme.
In
Catholic
Islam,
churches.
what do you mean by that? Give us an example.
There's
of what
a
you
ritual where they
described.
slice themselves with swords, bro.
I've never seen any Muslim do that. Never seen that ever.
There's cultures in Africa where essentially, like as a boy, to become a man and to go through this, you essentially need to like go through what would essentially be like Guantanamo Bay torture, like a level of like really, really insane practices that are like obviously going to be super damaging to you. Like, you know, I don't know, like piercing your pee and then having like, you know, just the most grotesque, brutal things you could possibly think of. And that is the initiation into adulthood. And
Okay, well, I mean, that's what that race is doing. And if the rest of the world seems to think it's not a good thing, we can educate those people. But if they decide not to want to change, then there's not much we can do. Not much we can do with that, really.
So it's literally the same state of affairs right now in the world.
Well, I mean, the thing is it harming you? Are you harmed by it? Is it stopping your way of life? Is it intruding in your freedom? Is it? No, it's not, is it? Right, there you go.
I mean, the
You
practice
shouldn't
in
be
Africa.
concerned.
You're making the argument for
hang on.
nationalism.
It shouldn't concern you. It shouldn't concern you if it's not really harming your life.
Yeah,
What you're
what
saying
people
is two
do.
different. Hold on, Yasi. What you're saying is two different things. All right, you're saying JINtopia will encompass the whole world. You can stay in your country and do your own things. Yet you have JINtopian rules that you want to enforce: antisocial behavior, needing to go through psychological evaluations, being renditioned to an island if you don't agree. Like these are rules. So these rules you have to enforce.
Rules that people have put into place, not JINtopia, but people who have voted for it. That'll be peoples of the. Everyone's going to vote for this. Not just I'm not the leader. So it's the people of JINtopia are going to be voting on this.
But so that's the same exact state of affairs that we have now. We have a voting system, and the system's been corrupted.
Disabled people get bigger houses because they have wheelchairs.
Oh,
They have a bigger house?
disabled people will have a lifestyle that fits like a beautiful glove. No doubt about it.
Yep, you're going to the island. That's what that means.
No, but like at this point,
It means,
I'm kidding.
It means they're going to be catered for. They're going to be catered for, of course.
That's
100%.
no, at this point, since we're taking everything to a vote, China and India have the most people. China and India now dictate what goes on in Seattle. They dictate what goes on in the majority of the world. So whoever has the majority of people now decides what happens.
JINtopia,
in
electoral colleges.
JINtopia.
That's how we solve it.
No, not really. The Chinese people don't outnumber the whole of the world combined, do they?
They outnumber, like, if you were to take Europe, like Europe is like what, white people, just 7% of the population. So all of these other people that are like over 50%, like China and India are like, yo, let's do something. And then they get another population of like Africa, and they're like, yo, China, Africa, and India, we're going to do things that are against like white people's interest. All of a sudden, they have the vote. They decide what goes on in JINtopia because they are the people. They are the majority of people, and they get to decide what happens in like a white country, a white community.
Yeah, again, the interests would be unnecessary, really. What interests are they interested in? What? Wanting to control the world? Because that's all I can see. Because once you have your freedom, which you currently do not have, and you have everything you need in your life, and you're enjoying your life, you're free to travel even to Antarctica. You can go anywhere on this earth. Nothing is off limits to the human being to experience what God has created for us to live on. I can't see what, unless you're looking to control the world. And then that question would be, why would you want to do that? China and India, as you put them up. Why? Why would
I mean, they're the majority of people.
What would be the gain? Hello, what would be the gain of that? What would be the gain?
Because they care about their own self-interest.
What? No one's stopping their self-interests. What interests are they? What interests are they?
They have a specific culture and a very specific way of doing things, and it's very specific things that they care about. And those things can conflict with other people. And if they're the majority of people, they can decide the majority of the votes, and therefore they can have power over these other people that are smaller in number.
So they can,
Exactly.
So they can, yeah, go ahead.
Agree.
Go ahead.
They would want to invoke Indiatopia instead of JINtopia because they have the majority. They would want to enforce Utopia.
Is this the collapse of JINtopia?
Nah, not really. Not really. It wouldn't be a collapse because, like I said, the rest of the world, they can't come. You know, like I said, they wouldn't be able to do that and then bring down JINtopia. There's more people than India and China combined. And
It's going to go on for JINtopia.
Remember, hang on, remember this, yeah? You're living your life free. So, like I said, the psychologies that come with that wouldn't generate what you're putting forward. It just wouldn't. Because the people themselves, currently people in India are very poor, but people in China are very poor. JINtopia changes that. So the people who are poor once will never forget that and wouldn't want to go back, have it being controlled by
How
their
would
leaders.
it change that?
Because it's going to get rid of their dictatorship, for example. Because now it's the world's people living together.
No, specifically logistically, how would it change that?
It would change it. It would change it because there's no money. Everybody's rich now. They have what they need in their lives. Their cars, their boats, their jet skis, they're traveling around the world, they're working. Yes.
How does getting rid of money change the distribution of goods to where people in India all of a sudden are getting the same level of quality of life as somebody in Southern California?
We don't have room for that many jet skis or cars, I don't think, really, do we?
Well, I mean, those people who want that, because it was put forward by others. Jeremy brought it up, for example. These people would basically, what I'm saying is your standard of living would improve immensely once you remove the money and everybody's working together. And you have
everyone gets a Roomba, right, Jeremy? Everyone gets one of those.
Everybody gets their house. Everybody gets their house built for them as they want it. You're going to work doing the job.
Everybody gets a slave.
No, not the same. No, you get what you
do it. The way you do it is
the same. No,
you get a robot. You get a robot. Everybody gets robots.
No, I'll tell you how you do it. Hold on, Bear. Bear, hold on a second.
Compared to Maryland.
Bear, I need you to
So
back
you're
up on your mic 6 feet. Here's how you do it. If we catch 1 billion lobsters a year and we have 1 billion people, guess what? Everyone gets 1 lobster a year. Some people aren't going to want lobsters and they go, I forfeit my lobster. You know, split it up. Maybe let me get an extra something else somebody else doesn't want. You know what I'm saying? You make it fair. That's all.
I'll trade you lobster for more oysters.
That's what I'm talking about. See, you don't want the lobster. He wants oysters. I don't fuck with oysters. I forfeit my oysters for more lobsters.
There's just there's more like unique minerals and things. Lobster is technically, well, they are kind of known as like the critters of the sea. They're kind of like the rats of the sea. I don't know if rats is the right term, but they tend to have more like parasites and stuff. They're like bottom feeders. That kind of thing. So like some don't even think they're like paleo in a way, like those kind of critters. But anyways, so and then the parasite.
But that's how you.
I'll trade you some cannabis.
If we get 3 bazillion eggs a day, you know, you chop it up. How many people we got? How many eggs we got? Okay. Find out who doesn't. Like you said, we all have cell phones. Instead of voting on everything, you could use it for the resource system. Like, yo, what do you need? You know what I'm saying? What do you need? What do you want? This is what we got. This is what we can have. We get it. You get it organized.
That still just goes to the question of like, how does this fundamentally change the distribution of resources to make sure everybody actually gets, like, what is the actual mechanisms behind how this makes
AI
everybody get to have stuff? Yeah, AI is often just a,
this will
just solve everything, you know?
Yeah,
there's no more.
You just all you need is you just need gravity and AI, and you're good to go.
Yeah, AI is
I mean,
essentially
There's no more bum on
gravity
the street.
for.
There's
I mean,
no
to
more
be
bum
fair,
on the
we-
street there's no more bum
we-
on the street that never gets lobster. You know what I'm saying? Now he's
We-
getting his share of lobster and everything's fair. You know what I'm saying? That's how it changes things.
I mean, when all else fails, we could resort to getting off our ass and going and getting it ourselves.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Okay, so-
actually,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Revolution.
You can
Yeah,
get
so
lobsters
if-
pretty easy. Yeah, lobsters aren't too hard to get. I mean, you gotta get your snorkel, get your spear.
I mean, isn't that exactly what happened with communists? Isn't that like literally exactly what happened? They controlled the production and
Are you gonna
food,
get
and
my
then
lobster for me,
everyone
Gio?
gets a
Fair,
fair
please.
portion. Everyone gets a fair portion, and if you don't have something that the store has, then you have to go out and get it yourself. And that's literally communism. I mean, it's the same thing that happened with communism, but now you have some type of authority to basically regulate the ins and outs of production because no one uses money. So you have no money, you have no power, right? To say,
Well,
hey, I actually want this. Nope, that's just communism, Jin.
No,
No,
it's
you
not
would- you would
communism
take-
at
you
all.
would-
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
You use the cell phones, bro. Use the cell phones. Who wants more lobsters? Do you want more jet skis? Who wants Roombas? We figure out what's needed, what's wanted, and then we can be like, oh, okay, people don't want this. We're gonna stop making this, and then we're gonna make more of this. Whatever the people want or need, and then you would also solve a lot by getting rid of planned obsolescence. So instead of the Roomba breaking after 8 years, that should last 80 years or whatever. You know what I'm
But
saying? Like,
That's the problem, though, is that there's infinite wants and a very limited amount of stuff. So you need to figure out how to take this limited amount of stuff and somehow get it to where, like, yeah, getting rid of planned obsolescence is great. That is going to be very efficient in getting a lot more people a lot more stuff. But the question is,
dude,
there's
you can
still
get everyone
a-
everything. If you get rid
There's-
of planned obsolescence, you can get everyone everything. We're good. We'll be good, dude. You get rid of
there's
that.
still a limited amount of stuff and infinite need. Like need or want
Yeah,
isn't
what
a
stuff are you
arbitrary
referring to?
limit.
What stuff? What stuff is limited? What are you talking about? Stuff's limited.
Talking about the
Jet
finiteness
skis,
of
Roombas, cars.
Lobsters.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You just, like, once
everything's made from recyclable material. So, I don't see this problem where you're running out of stuff as such.
Well, we're a little bit
kind of
low
be
on we're a little low on Lamborghini yachts, so we need a few.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Gio makes a good point there. Lamborghinis, like everyone can't have a Lambo. Who gets the Lambos? Who gets the yachts?
No, the
Who gets
Lambo yachts. You know, the Lamborghini makes yachts.
It's almost
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you need a system to transact value between each other or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be.
But
under,
that's what I'm saying.
person.
You would figure out. Hold on. You'd figure out. Okay, how many Lambos do we have? Most people don't even want a Lambo. I mean, yeah, some people do. Some people might want a Porsche. I mean, you just start making more Lambos. I don't know how hard is
And
it.
it's like
That-
you need money or something that represents the value.
No, you
of the
don't need
thing.
any money. You're on a waiting list. You're just on a waiting list. First come.
You could also
first
have a
served,
set of.
simple
We
as
actually
that.
figured this
But-
out earlier. You could have a set of. You could have your town or your city or whatever has a parking lot that's just has a whole bunch of Lambos in it, and you can just go. Just keep the keys are just in them. Just go ahead. There's the Lambos. Just you
And
go
that
down to
just
the
goes
lake.
into tragedy
You
of
get
the
onto the lake.
commons.
You go down to the lake. There's the jet skis. You go to the park. The frisbees are there. The basketballs are there. Like stuff is just where it needs to be.
You will own nothing and be happy.
No, you could own a
You
jet
rent-
ski. We went over this earlier. You could own a jet ski. Sure, you could have one, but it's going to lessen the need for everyone to own a jet ski and everyone to own a Lambo. So the
Yeah, I
Lambos
mean-
are just there.
That just goes back into the tragedy of the commons, is that when there are common things that nobody owns, people don't take care of them very well. Certain populations especially don't take care of them
The
very well.
maintenance man's there for that. We've got mechanics and engineers to maintain. Don't worry. And like we said, obsolescence is over and done with, so they won't be able to trash it. They can go as hard as they like, unless they've had an accident and they break it. Then it goes off and you get it repaired and carry on. There's no problem. That's an unnecessary.
I think you'd have a better
You're-
honesty system. Like you'd
Sorry,
have to have
go
a better honesty system, right? Like
Well,
if someone
people would
breaks
just
it,
know,
or
like-
if someone misusing it, like you go and tell them, like this is a common value. You're mistreating the common value, right?
People would just know. You would tell them. They would realize eventually the system would be. You know what I'm saying? If you wreck all the jet skis and there's no jet skis, now you got to wait mad long and you can't play on jet skis. They get new jet skis, like it's going to suck. So they'll just stop breaking the jet skis.
I mean,
Unless there's,
they're not. Yeah, this is a super basic economic thing. Like they are not directly affected as much by breaking a jet ski. They get more value by breaking the jet ski. If there's no economic incentive for like, if to rent a jet ski, I need to have like jet ski insurance. I need to pay for it. Like they're just going to build a ramp on the river and then have that ramp go straight into a mountain. So they're going to roll the jet ski and they're going to crash it into the mountain because that's fun. If you had unlimited money, a lot more people would do that. So
we'll set up a place just to do that with. Absolutely. No, that'll be a thing. That's
yeah, but at that point, you're taking limited resources and you're trying to appease the unlimited wants. And you're not having any sort of system of accountability of like having to buy the jet ski to ruin it.
It's
the
all made out of hemp,
engineers.
dude. Don't worry, man. It's all made out of hemp.
If the engineers and mechanics are the ones responsible for maintenance on all the things that we own, then we're going to literally have some type of steampunk society where we're run by engineers and mechanics.
Now the robots are fixing all the stuff we trash. Like, we'll have the thing set up where you can hit a ramp, jump, fly the jet ski into the mountain, you jump off midair, land in the water safe, the jet ski blows up, and then you just have the robot come pick that shit up, clean it up, repair
Who
it all.
repairs the
and
robot? Who polishes the robot?
You've always got slaves, bro. Solution is
And then
always
the next
slaves,
day, the
bro.
jet ski's right back in the water within like, maybe like 8 hours. If who knows, maybe you get a whole team of robots. I don't know, man.
Other robots polish the robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes into like totaling something. Like
They just polish each other.
Yeah, they polish each other. Oh, that's funny.
you know, when a car gets in a bad enough accident, you can't just repair it. Like you technically maybe could like reuse some parts, but at a certain point, it's just not viable to actually repair that. And if you're crashing a jet ski straight into a mountain, you can't repair that jet ski. What's up?
Well, you know
how
how they say money is the root of all evil. So wouldn't if money is if money is the root of all evil? Okay, well, there's different phrases, but there's the one like the root of all evil. But if it is, then wouldn't getting rid of money get rid of evil?
No, see, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. That's the real line.
It would help
Yeah.
a lot, big time. Off the charts, out big time.
So, like,
Totally
if
agree.
you standardize the engine sizes, right? Like, we've got all these different parts and pieces for different models and stuff. Like, I do see an efficiency within the communistic worldview that, they could have a set size engine for every single thing, like from a jet ski to a bike to a motor mower, and you just like pull it out, plug a new one in.
But I want to be different, Rick. How much do I got to pay you?
You don't want
to
a
be
different engine. You can put some different, like, different shaped plastic on the outside and call yourself special, right? Like, everyone's doing up cars and all that jazz. Like, put a bit of plastic on the outside. That's all the fancy that people need.
I mean, that's just a common issue of attempts at standardization is that, we have 200 different coding languages. I'm going to make a coding language that will make all other code, like it'll be the universal coding language that everybody will use as soon as they make it. Now there's 201 coding languages. Like that's how like standardization works. And especially with like, jet skis, just going back to that as an example, there's different like types of jet skis that different people would want. And then all of a sudden you just go back to having, 15 different jet ski engines.
Doc, you were going to say
Acknowledge
something? Was that you, Doc?
No, good with somebody else. I was just going to say though, when I got the floor, the value, we're still dealing with a value problem. The value can only be. I mean, we could. It's only worth something. Something is only worth what you can get someone else to pay for it. I mean, I could trade you a pound of cannabis for a pound of coffee, and we could call ourselves even. Or maybe you need to tighten up on the coffee. I mean, it's still the value. We got a problem with value.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll send you a
Just
free
also,
microphone.
yeah. Just also in that sense, like if you get into the thing that just does happen with Tragedy of the Commons with the jet skis, then all of a sudden, why would the jet ski repairman even want to repair these jet skis? Because they're just going to get broken at an irreparable rate, and they're just going to give up.
The reason, Yosuke, the reason he's going to do that, Yosuke, is because that's the job he elected to do, which gets him to enjoy his freedom. That's why he's going to do it. That's his job. And then he's got AI as an assistant. Okay, he's going to be enjoying his job regardless. And then those who keep on wrecking the jet skis by smashing them in the wall, they'll be barred from using them because, again, that's
we're having
unnecessary discussion.
So you're just
No,
replacing
all the jet skis.
can,
Hold on. First of all, the jet skis are
Go
made of
ahead.
hemp. All the jet skis are made of hemp. Second of all, that's going to be a whole. That's going to be a whole attraction. That's going to be a whole attraction where it's just like you have a ramp and fly it in the mountain.
So Yasuke posted that Timothy 6:10 for the love of money is the root of all evil. So yeah, I mean that is the idea of the love of money. I was just going to comment on that from before. But the thing is that the love of money is what creates a money system in the first place. Like somebody who really loves money wanted to get a bunch of other people to use their money, and they have the most of that money. It's like the monopoly. Like, hey, come play Monopoly, and I'll be the banker. Like the love of money is what creates a whole money system in which there's all this limitation and control. And it is the fiat system now. But so I mean, like that kind of idea that's like a misinterpretation of that just to say money is the root of all evil. But I think the reason so many people have said money is the root of all evil, there's like a deeper thing, a truth to that. I think in terms of that.
Money can represent anything. You can literally designate anything as money, and it's up to the people to invoke value into it. Like actually say, yes, that's valuable. This coin, this bill, this Beanie Baby. It doesn't matter. Like money is not doesn't mean just currency or cash. Like money is something that you agreed upon that is valuable to the other person you're transacting with, right? Like if I trade you salt for apples, now I know in the future my salt is valuable. My salt is now my money. Like, and that's how it works. Like, but the love of money, right? That's the root of all evil. Is basically hoarding, that hoard mentality. That like, I'm not gonna have enough. I better keep hoarding this, right? It goes against the abundance where you should be giving, right?
Yeah, and at this point, money is just a proxy for power. And if you get rid of money, you're still going to have power struggles that people have. But then also, like most societies will have like rules and regulations on what can be done with money, of like anti-usury laws or different laws to where there are very specific things that you cannot do with money because these are rent-seeking behaviors of using money to make money for the sake of money, which is clearly not good for society based on the fact that so many societies have banned it. And when you get rid of the rent-seeking behaviors, then like 95% of the issues with money go away.
Okay, so we're kind of talking about the overall topic of like ideally in the future, should there be money or no money? And so that's kind of like, it seems like what we're talking about. So like, yeah, like, so like Biasticles, for example, like would you ideally, do you think there should always be some kind of currency or money, or in that sense, or like a currency is more what I meant, like something that, because the thing is like with like the way that we have dollars that now are kind of like an assumed value and they're not even something physical, but even just the whole idea of people like hoarding and collecting and having, you know, like, do you think there should always be some kind of a currency, or do you see as an ideal that there would be a way to live like what Jin was saying without any currency?
Not a should, right? It's like it's inevitable.
You look at prison populations and they start trading cigarettes as money.
Yeah, like it's just human nature. You have something that I want, and I need to have something that you want. So I have to get that something in order to get what I want from you. And you're supposed to do it in an anarchist way, like in a peaceful way, where you have no authority over me, I have no authority over you. We agree mutually to trade, right? That's like an anarchist relationship, and there's no way to get around that. What's valuable to some people is not valuable to others, and so on and so forth. It's all subjective, right? Which is why they need to control the narrative. That's the most important. They control people's minds into thinking that something is valuable when it's not. That's the society we live in. That's why it's the most powerful tool, is the media.
Well, I don't want to speak for Jin, because he was describing one way in which money would not be a thing when he was talking about the JINtopia. So, I mean, if he's still here, or Jin, if you want to jump in at some point, just just to, in terms of what you meant by it. But what about instead of even like I have this, like I have 12 eggs and you have some milk, let's trade milk for eggs, or even what about, is there a way to live together where we don't have to have any exchange of money, where everything is in abundance? Now we do all have to pitch in some way, like obviously, but like Jin was saying, like you only have to work like 3 or 4 days a week, 20 hours a week, whatever it is. I mean, it's kind of like in the way I think about it. I have a lot to say about this whole topic, but I'll just be brief, just to say like that I kind of think about like the trillions upon trillions that the powers that be have. If all that money was just given to all of humanity, it could probably give everyone like a equivalency of like a $200,000 a year job for the next hundreds of years or whatever, because of how much money they've kept from us. And then if we did that, it'd be like, okay, well then would no one work or something? But there still would be a way that
eggs,
we can work a lot less if we're not getting sucked on by the parasite of the way they are, the parasite of that system. But anyways, yeah. So it goes back to that, all of that. But it's like what I'm saying is that instead of even having to trade, could we actually just all pitch in and then all have abundance, to where like it's not like you have to necessarily have like your own hoardings and then give them to other, or like exchange with others, but that we could all work together, that we all have an abundance of all of the things that we want, because not everyone even wants all the same things as well. But do you think that could be possible?
That's literally what a commune is. Like people do that all the time. The thing is, once you start scaling that up, you're gonna have disagreements, right? Once you get past a certain threshold of people, you're gonna have disagreements, and there's gonna be quarrels, and there's gonna be value disputes about like, well, our village should do this, or my village should do that, and it's just how it is. It's just we're fallen, in my personal opinion. It's just how I see
and that this can work on a community level, as in 250 people max. And anytime you get out of that, that's when you don't know more than 250 people in that way, and then so you start having those disagreements, like he was saying, to where one village tells the other village like, hey, you guys got to start pulling your weight more. We're doing so much, and you guys are not doing enough. You guys got to start doing more stuff, and then you have disagreements, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're going to take care of our own village, and like if you guys want stuff, then you guys have like you start having separate competing interests.
True freedom is anarchy.
That's why we have the Cherokee Nation, and the Choctaw Nation, and the Navajo Nation.
Right.
Because I think it's a little bit 250 people, but you're right. I agree with your point. At some point, we're going to have to, hey, if you don't want to go by this, then you can't be that.
But yeah, it's just, that's just the fractal nature of societies, right? It's just, you get too big for your bridges, you split off, form your own. That's just how it's always been. It's always been that way.
Yeah. In the sense, you can't get 500 people together without there becoming competing interests. And we're expected to believe that it's possible to get the entire world together without there being competing interests.
Well, the thing is, we're going to transition into something. So what are we going to transition into? On the one side, okay, New World Order, nightmare. Okay, we all can probably speculate possibilities of that. Or I guess things kind of maintain the same. Or some huge shift does happen in a direction that we're in a whole new type of way of living, where like the kind of current, like I was saying, it's almost like a parasitic entity that's kind of like feasting on humanity is released. And then we then have to figure out, okay, well then how can we actually have a system that is a system, but it's not corrupt? So then there's that idea of like maintaining some kind of a system, like, because right now it is like a world system. As far as these continents we're aware of, it is all interconnected, the internet, the cables, everything. So I mean, whatever we transition into, unless all of that is like broken up and shifted and things are gone into smaller communities, It already is like a system. So like if the keys are going to be handed off from like this dark energy now to something else, then what would that look like? And then
you're already seeing it, Gio. Like you said, we're already in that system. That's what the education system was for, right? It's a system to basically get the West, the West to think a certain way, act a certain way, and transact value a certain way. And you do that to the kids and their kids, and after generations, now you got a culture, right? Now that's why they call it a culture, right? You've cultured a culture. You've literally grew a culture, and now you get certain people to think a certain way, right? And wide swaths. That's when you start implementing whatever you want to implement, because that's how you make people malleable. This is social engineering 101. This is what Edward Bernays and all the futurists and all the fucking transhumanists have been trying to do for years, right? Like, this is it. And we're basically seeing the results of that. We can only think in these like linear ways of like, well, if we have bad people, then bad people get this punishment, and it's just like we're programmed to think this way. Like,
that's actually a really good point, is that like we're given certain tools to use about, oh hey, how should we organize society? And like this entire thing is us essentially using the tools that we have been given, which are the tools of the exact system that has been oppressing us in the first place.
Yeah.
Because those are the only methods that we can think in.
Right, we've been trained that way. Like, try to tell someone that they don't need government. See how they react. Well, you're going to need a form of government.
Yeah, like a big thing here is like defending democracy, which is, something that has been implanted into the Western psyche for a very long time as, oh, this is a good thing, this is an ideal. Whereas like it's very unimaginative in that there's so many other better ways to organize a society than a democracy. And we're blind to the downsides of democracy because it's been indoctrinated into us for generations.
Yeah, heavily. But that's you got to change the mindset if you want to change, how we operate. If people were to know the truth about how this world operates, maybe you have a fighting shot. But like, you're battling media giants, dog. Like, I'm not trying to be black pilled. I'm just saying, like, to organize the entire world into one ideology is literally what these people have been trying to do for thousands of years. So,
yeah,
it's nothing new.
Yeah, but what if it's? I don't know about all that. I'm not even defending that idea. But what if it was for good though, and not corruption? Like, would you want a government that actually has your best interests at heart?
No, and I wouldn't need them.
But they've been doing the divide and conquer thing as well at the same time, which is curious, right? Like, it's just
amalgamation
and dividing and conquer.
My best interest at heart is no government.
Well, like, unless you own your own airplane, for example, if you want to fly to like another country or go visit your family or whatever it may be, there's a lot of systems that are in place there, and being safe in that traveling too, that the government is linked to, like just even if you drive your own car, by the time you park or you're on shuttles, you're going through all this kind of stuff. So, there is a whole system in that way. Would you just not want to travel with that way, or would you?
Why is that the system, right? Like, why isn't it privatized and you could have competition? Like, there's Uber and Lyft, but really, what other ride-sharing companies are there? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have the government in place of these very important aspects of society, like the air, sea, and land. You know what I mean? And travel. Like, this is how they've been able to control, people in a certain way for such a long time, is because they control the air and the sea. Like, and the radio. So media and travel and transportation is their tools. You take those away, right? You privatize it. You basically give everybody the access to the same tools. Then you might have a fighting shot. But like, it's because of these systems that we live in the way we live.
Yeah, but even if it's privatized, though, like with air travel, for example, if it's privatized, there still would be a communal sort of system, like a rule base or some sort of system where they communicate with each other. And they know like the airspace. There's like recognized roads, for example. So even if you take out the government, a government still forms around these structures, right?
Yeah, standardization, a common thing in air travel that's talked about is that all pilots know English. Like, you are not a pilot anywhere in the world unless you know English, just because it's easy to have a single common language that everybody can understand.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. But yeah, like, this is, in order to implement something like JINtopia or a New World Order or whatever type of cabal you need everybody on the same page. And that's why they've been trying to get everybody on the same page for as long as they have. And I think that's why the internet was even released, to get everybody on the same page. Now you control the internet, right? Like, it's centralized information again, all over again, just like how the news came from radio stations and then TVs. Like, it's the same kind of thing. Centralized information, control people. Sorry.
But divide and conquer and this amalgamation, I sort of mentioned it before, but I don't know. It's kind of curious, right? Like, the amalgamation that's occurring as far as the like global sentiment and scientism and the industrial capitalism, whatever that is. Like, there's a kind of common worldview, but they're using divide and conquer to create it in many ways.
Yeah.
which is kind of, it's counterintuitive.
Well, I mean, it's just that you're existing within inside of the dialectic that you're given, in that it still very much is like a one party like unified idea, but you get a false sense of choice inside of that.
Exactly, the Hegelian dialectic. Just like, do you want to be completely local or completely global? There's no third option. I don't know. It's obviously complicated. We're talking about like world geopolitics, economics, society values. Like, this is not a simple conversation. Like, no offense, Jin. I'd like where your heart's at, but like, there's a lot of lofty ideals there.
No, not really. Nothing lofty at all, because it is achievable with the infrastructure we have now and the advent of AI. We can utilize it for the good. So no,
what do you think AI is, bro? Like, AI is not what you think it is.
No, I know what AI is currently and how it's going to be used to enslave humanity. That's how I see it. But I also see the positive side, where we can use it to utilize for our jobs, plumbing, etc., etc. I understand the ramifications of having AI come into our lives now as a tool for enslaving humanity even quicker.
I don't think that's possible.
Well, that's how I see it.
AI.
That's
I mean,
how I see it.
let me just break that illusion right there of AI being able to take over people and stuff like that. Like, there's a reason why there's model. No, but I'm just saying there's a reason why there's model collapse, right? There's these things called model collapse, and why they need to create a new version of ChatGPT, DeepSeek, name your large language model. Why they got to create a new version like every couple months or so? It's because their models experience entropy and model collapse. Then they train that model off of the previous model to make a better one, and it's just this continuous Frankenstein monster that's never going to be not subject. Like, it's always going to be subject to entropy, and they're just going to get worse over time, and that's how it's always going to go down, unless you have a centralized AI system. And that's what the government's trying to do.
I'm looking at AI. I'm looking at AI in an infrastructure capacity. In that, plumbing, for example, in JINtopia, we can use AI to assist us in that, together with the plumbers. Okay, for example, everybody wants their toilet flushing good. AI can be used there. AI can be used in medical.
What?
Okay.
You're funny.
What I mean? Go ahead.
What?
Have you guys discussed Slackers Island yet?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. My favorite part's over. Slackers Island is my favorite part.
You're going straight there. You're going there straight away.
Set up. We have a treehouse already ready for you there.
Yeah, you're going there straight away. No question.
We're gonna come hang out with you. We're gonna do like a little welcoming party.
Yeah, Kosho's hammock.
I'll be the captain of Slackers Island.
One-way ticket to Slackers Island.
What were you gonna say,
This
Rick?
has some problems. JINtopia has some serious issues that would have to be worked out, but I feel like we could make it work.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy, for the support. Thank you very much.
You've got some base premises. You've got some base ideas that I love. Getting rid of money. Dude, if we're still using money in like 100, 200 years, we lost.
What are you going to make? Like, what, you're going to use tokens and say that it's different from money?
Kind of like before, right? Already said it. You can use.
You're invoking AI. Like,
Beasticle's already said it. You can use anything for money. You have to get rid of that whole notion of having money that I trade you for something. Like, everything's just free.
How would you work out if the AI is not creating like a how it hallucinates? Like, AI hallucinates, and then it's just like, okay, well, I need to start allocating more jobs and work. So how would you like verify that the AI is not just making work for work's sake at that point?
What's that? I don't know. I don't do the whole AI thing Jin's talking about. It could be implemented if you had a closed system like Beast was talking about, but
yeah, but that's the problem, Jeremy. That's the
I'm
problem.
talking about.
Well, the reason
we need some type of AI governance.
But the reason people, let me say real quick, okay, we can shift to the AI thing. Let me just say one thing on the currency. The reason that people generally trade for things is because they don't have everything in abundance, meaning they have a certain number of something, so they either save it or hoard it, and then they try to sell that off for whatever they can get, and then you get into the whole thing of farming, where now I'm going to farm all this crops and I'm going to sell them. But the reason that people are doing that is because they don't have abundance of everything. Therefore, they need to trade this for that, that for this. And it makes sense. If you're like in the jungle and there's a couple different families and like, yeah, you might trade some things because you have more fish and they have more eggs or whatever it is, like that makes sense. But the thing is, if we all would be able to work together in some amazing synergistic way, that would be like the opposite of this current corrupt system, where we could all actually work together, we may all be able to have abundance to where we wouldn't have to trade with each other. We wouldn't have to trade anything with each other. We all have the abundance, but that we'd all have to work together to get that though.
And
I don't want to be the bad guy.
Automation would be a huge part of that, right? With when Jin says AI, I just replace that with the word robot, and I feel fuzzy inside.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Attack.
Yeah.
What was it? We've got a set of people in the world that do not like, they want for nothing except for what they create that they want, and they get us to do it for them, right? So unfortunately, there is kind of already an example of people who really shouldn't want for anything. They've got everything in abundance, but yet they still want to keep taking more. So I mean, it's some aspect of the human experience that seems to be exhibiting that at least.
Is the root of all evil.
That's how they got it.
Stuff.
That's how they got it in the first place, though. If somebody wanted something, and they strive for it.
But it's like you can also.
Well, but there could still be working hard and getting things, but it just seems like the money system is like a limitation. Like what it does in a way is it sets up this isolation between. I know that it could be seen as freedom as well, like capitalism, because you can get a lot for yourself and you can work hard and earn it, which is awesome. So I do, but there's other ways to like work hard and earn things as well, even if money wasn't an issue. But the thing is with money though is that there's like pretty much always going to be a disparity. So there's always going to be this unfair quality to it. Like the game's always rigged against someone. Unless you're at the top, I guess, the game's always rigged against you in some way. And then if you were to say, okay, well then let's all have the same amount. So now it's not rigged. You don't have like the whole disparity. Well, now why do you have money if you just all have the same amount of it?
I mean, what? How would you have the same amount of it?
Well, that's what you guys.
Okay, just to summarize my point, if there's a huge disparity of some people are rich, some people are middle class, some people are poor, that is one of the big issues with having money. Now we're all like pitting, like even though you can work hard and earn it, at the same time it creates this huge disparity, and then you get this like imbalance to where we're not actually like working together synergistically. It's like I have mine and you have yours, and there's more of an isolation. So all I was saying is that if you were to then lead and say, okay, then if there's not that huge difference, then if everybody had the same amount of money, then it kind of nullifies the need for money in the first place. That's all I was saying, like just that.
Okay, now you have something that I want. How do I get it from you without spending said value, money?
Well, that's the thing. It shouldn't be that you would want something from me. It would be that whatever you want, you could get, because we're all working together to make it. There would just be potatoes for everybody. So you wouldn't have to get them from me personally, if that's what you mean, or that kind of idea. That's the thing. Like there wouldn't have to be, like, see, my thought is that we've come out of this barter and trade system, like possibly in the past, whatever's going on there, which obviously ended up being like gold and silver and coins, which then ended up being taken over by the whole Federal Reserve, the World War I, World War II, to where now we're in this complete like monopoly money situation. But so what are we moving into is the question. Like, are we actually moving into an age where, Aquarius, like if we're moving into the Aquarius is like the water bearer. So it's sort of like giving the water to all kind of a vibe. So I guess we'll see kind of what happens. But I'm saying, are we moving into like a continued barter system like this? I think that's what the controllers want to do, probably with digital currency. Or is there going to be like some kind of a shift to where some of these ideas we're talking about may actually happen, to where this whole kind of system of money won't be a thing in the future, and like we'll all be able to work together without having to have some kind of currency that needs to be traded between people, which would then be like moving out of a barter stage. Like from the like raw barter of like eggs for milk to like the gold barter to the whole NWO takeover, and then to a possible no barter in the future, to where there's more like an abundance for everyone by working together is a possibility.
I mean, this just goes into like why you care more about the people that are closest to you, typically, as in you care about your family more than other people in your community. You care about your community more than the village next by. You care about the village next door more than the village 100 miles away, et cetera, et cetera. So you have this priority, which goes into like, there are people that you care about more, which means you want them to succeed more than others, which means that you're not like working for some vague idea of this greater collective humanity in that sense. Nobody has ever thought in this humanity sense, like ever. It's never really been something that has been successful despite it being tried. You know what I mean?
Well, what I think is like what you guys are talking about, the solution. Like when you work together, and then you have to have like a ruler or whatever. Like let's say like a utopia where everyone's sharing. Well, there's still like an executive who's kind of, even if that executive's not a real person, it's just sort of set of rules, right? There still is always that thing. And what happens in real life is that thing ends up being a person who strives for that position, like in current governments or in the past, like with kings or whatever. And so I think you're going to always have that problem no matter what, where whatever sort of system you're talking about, there's going to end up where there's a power concentration. And then all that happens after that is somebody gains control of that power concentration. And it's the same with AI.
Yeah, but Jin's thing was that there would be setups to resist against that, to not allow that to happen, was what Jin was saying. But I was going to say too, Yasuke, from what you said, I mean, isn't that pretty much what taxes are today? It's like this idea of giving some to the collective so we have, good roads or whatever. I'm saying that's already kind of a thing in terms of that side of it, like taxes.
Yeah, and that's something that has to be done through force, and there's only a certain amount that you can really do on a population without massive amounts of Stockholm syndrome. As in, the whole idea goes, America revolted over 2% tax on tea. Now they have 50% of their money being taken away. And that there's a very limited amount of allowance that people will have before they revolt when it comes to giving money to people they don't know.
But even if it's not money, though, like in the case of JINtopia, and like Slackers Island, for example, or any sort of enforcement of taxes, or like I said, Slackers Island, whatever it is, that enforcement has to be governed by something and someone and some entity that's given power to enforce that, like with taxes, for example. Like in order for taxes to work, there has to be some enforcement that's recognized and respected, right? Otherwise, the whole thing doesn't work.
Yeah, depending on the tax you're meant to pay, because in the US currently there isn't a law that states you have to pay that tax, according to this documentary that I watched. But with taxes in JINtopia, there are no taxes. You're not paying any tax. You're not getting taxed for anything. There's no money.
Yeah, but
you don't get
in JINtopia, that's why I gave. I said JINtopia, there still is enforcement of like Slackers Island. In order for people, for that to be enforced, there has to be some law enforcement that takes you to Slackers Island or enforces the rules.
Yes, those people will be in place. And you've got AI again to assist in it. And when I say AI, I mean the spherical ball which is levitating, cameras, sees everything, has weapons, has tasers, that and the human security man or woman for that matter. Okay, so no, we've got security.
That's pretty wild, Jen. That's a lot, dude. That's like that's from 1984 shit right there. Like that's, I don't know, man. Like floating drones with weapons ready to tase you if you oof.
Imagine this. That's only going to happen when somebody becomes extremely violent.
Who decides?
That's it.
Right.
It's not going to be so overpowering and scary. None of that. None of that's going to be because the drone is going to be programmed. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be. And gun. When would the gun be used? You know envision you're in Utopia. Everybody's happy. There would be no gun firing. Right? Why would there be gun firing?
Get out.
That's the point. That somebody has to write those rules and then also enforce them, and then everyone has to respect that.
Dude, this is kind of a funny question, but guns are so like violent and so destroying. Like a bullet goes in and blows your body up. Like, and even with people with self-defense, like why don't people just get tasers? I know there's reasons why people give arguments and all this kind of stuff, but like guns are just so violent. Like it's just to shoot a bullet through someone's like actual flesh. Seems like if people just really want to make sure they were like safe, if they're really afraid of that, like wouldn't a taser or pepper spray like do the trick enough?
I mean, that's just the entire point, is that those just aren't effective. Like there's so many times where you see people just like meth addicts, just manhandling themselves through a taser or not.
All right, I hear you. Plus, I hate tasers anyways. I don't even want to like think about that they're even a good replacement for anything because it's just awful putting electricity through the body. Yeah, but a bullet's bad too. But well, anyways, there's got to be some other way than just blowing bullets at people.
There's lots of people who walk around with just tasers or just with pepper spray because they have that same mentality that you're thinking, Gio.
Yeah, it's just that idea. It's just that idea of like you do not use a gun at all unless you are in a situation to where like this person needs to be killed or something bad will happen. Like you don't ever shoot to an incapacity. You know what I mean?
I saw a really sad like little YouTube clip short where the guy got pulled over for just like speeding and then he like ran because he just was like afraid and the cop pulled a gun out and shot him. It was like, oh, it's so sad. He killed him. But yeah,
that's whack. Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Some cops suck.
There was a big case here in Australia where a 90-year-old lady died from a taser. She was apparently disorientated, like sort of Alzheimer's or something. It's a pretty big case. It was all over the telly for a couple of times, a couple of nights. And the guy tasered the old lady with a knife. Just went down.
I mean, the thing with what Jin's saying though, that is like, it's like with the violence thing. Like if you don't do what Jin's doing, I guess you then have violent people and it's unsafe. Because like, okay, if there was just none of this violence at all humans, just like almost like a family, like, well, there are families that kill each other and hurt each other, but in general, a family doesn't hurt each other. If we just treated everyone like family and just no one hurt each other, that would be a thing. But especially today, as much what's going on now, there are people that are going to want to rob and set fire to places and take guns and do all this kind of stuff. So if that's the case, you either like, I guess, let them do it and then police them for it. Now you have more bullet fire with police. I guess what Jin's talking about is the idea of just like, I guess Jin, your thing was to say like to have no guns. Or not allow anyone to have guns, other than if you just have it at the gun place or whatever, or for hunting.
Right. And they're living in Utopia, so I don't see why they'd want to be robbing each other.
Maybe they're afraid.
You're saying it's like only. Your thing is to use violence possibly to keep the peace, rather than allowing people just to be violent and then trying to keep that under control. Or the kind of
exactly. Let me give you a couple of. Hang on, please. Let me give you some scenarios. People have gone out for a drink and something's happened, some abuse, something, and now there's a fight broken out. Okay, now the security, that sphere comes in. Okay, stop right now. No, police individuals are coming, cars are coming. And there's no weapons being drawn, only the taser, if necessary, once people if they're not calming down, and that's it. And then you take them back to the station. Who started it? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, you got a cooling off, you get a cooling off, and then that's that. There you go. I mean, what else can you do?
Give them a red card.
Yeah, because the alternative is that they both are carrying guns, someone gets shot, someone's dead, someone's injured, and all the above.
You guys are literally making the case for a technocratic police state. Like
exactly. This is also exactly what happens in the UK.
That's what I'm saying. It's all slippery slopes, this whole discussion.
This is also exactly what happens in the UK, where cops don't have guns. There's some like violent extremists going around killing people with a machete. They try to take them down with tasers, doesn't work. Yeah, it is.
They're tough though, dude. They're tough because they'll take them down eventually. I got respect for those cops.
It's the idea behind it. Just pretend it's from a movie, which it is from a movie. But
Well, I remember. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's like, cops with tasers would not be able to deal with a guy with a machete trying to, do a bunch of random senseless violence.
Yeah, but this is the point though. I don't want to call it a problem with what Jin's saying, but there's an authority that's being established here. You're giving them this authority, and it's not being discussed how you've determined who makes these rules and who enforces them. You give them the will, or you will to them the authority to do that. And that's the people we have now. It's the same problem.
Yeah, no. The people elect the individuals who are going to be doing this security, and that's their job, is to secure your safety. That's it. But it's the people who give them that job and that position, and they will do that job. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, Jin. So I remember you mentioned initially that you would get them on the same page. So what would be on that one page?
The history of the history. Well, okay, on that one page that you put it, which could be like 100 pages, but there you go. The history of humanity and how we've been enslaved, and that's not part of what the Creator intended for us. And these are the things that we, like for example, Earth not being a globe, that would be part of all that, the waking of humanity, basically. Do you understand? Through the history and everything else. And now that we've had this revolution, because this education can only come after we've had a revolution, because we've got to remove the system that's in place. And before we do that, we've got the military, the Air Force, and the Navy behind us or in front of us, removing this cancerous thing. And now it's time to wake up humanity. So we're using the internet system that we've got to pump in all this information. Silly little programs on TV have to take a back seat whilst humanity's woken up across the world, that is. Okay, and that's what would happen. And that's the awakening. And then the idea of JINtopia is put to them, where you, the people, will always have the final say. If you can imagine that step. Yeah,
I know, but I think the thing that you're talking about, it's like, because I've talked to you about this for fucking years and years. And the thing is that the same thing you're striving for is already what is claimed to be what society is striving for. It's already the purpose of government is already to do the thing you're saying. It's just elect people to have the power and authority to enforce the laws. It's like we've already agreed to this. It gets corrupted, and that's why we're in the state that we're in. But it's not different than, it ends up not being different than what we already have.
Because
the difference will be this. The difference will be this. The people elect the individuals who are going to be seeing that their needs are met. Okay. Now they have no power to make laws. The only law that's going to be made will be made by the people, before the people have the final say. So if an individual who you've elected wants to go in an opposite direction, he or she will be spotted in doing so and be removed, because that individual is no longer working for the people. So the people just remove that individual straight away. Remember, an individual doesn't have, the individual you elect to look after your needs doesn't have the power to say, okay, let's go make war in Germany. Let's go to Japan and make war. They don't have that power at all.
Who said
those words? Hang on a second. To utter those words, they're a candidate for Slackers Island, and they're going to get psychological evaluation because they're talking against.
What if the people wanted war against Germany?
What would be the reason for it? Come on, what would be the reason for it?
What sets the truth? Who sets the standard of truth in JINtopia?
That's coming down to the people yourselves. You see, this is where you're going to need to be working together.
So truth,
you see what I mean? Remember, you're coming. Hold on a second. We've just had a revolution because we've had tyranny. So clearly now, with the education remember the one-page education where they're waking up, we're going to have to work together here. Yeah, that's where that's going to come from. It's going to come from you. You're going to have to be truthful.
Don't get me wrong, Jin. Don't get me wrong. I do like your proposal better than what we have now, but I would just wonder. So the truth would change over time based on the people's belief of truth, or shouldn't there be an absolute truth?
The truth is always self-evident. Do you know what I mean? If you're doing something good for people and everybody's benefiting, that's the truth there in action. Do you understand? And then the education that we have, which has been corrupt, that's always going to be shown to people, so people can make a concise and informed decision. And remember, it's the people who are the governors, who are the government, the people, you, the people. That's how it's always going to be. And then you select individuals to represent the things you want done. And as long as they're doing that, everyone's happy. As soon as that individual starts to talk about dictatorship, well, obviously he's mentally disturbed, he or she gets removed, of course, because he's not working for the people now. He's trying
what
to
if the people want a dictatorship like Nazi Germany?
Again, I don't envisage that. I don't envisage people wanting to be dictated upon and enslaved, because they wouldn't have taken part in the revolution then. Do you know
most dictators throughout history have had very high approval ratings.
I beg to differ on that. I think the system that's corrupted put those numbers up. So I would say no to that. You're buying into the system.
That's his point, man. That's his point, man. Is that they always had high approval ratings because they were sort of the ones that enforced those. Yeah. That's a pure problem here.
No, these aren't even necessarily from like, oh, this is Zimbabwe guy running a poll in Zimbabwe, and oh, he has 100% approval rating. These are like unbiased third-party Western Pew Research people coming in and doing the polling, and overwhelmingly throughout all of history, very high approval ratings.
No,
People love
I do see
dictators.
corruption. I see corruption all over the place. The system we've got currently in place at the moment is well and truly corrupt. That includes you don't even have democracy in the United States, and your electoral system is completely corrupt. Your presidents are not elected but selected. You know that, and that's the same across the whole world. All G20s, they're all working. They're working from the same cloth. They've got their societies under control. JINtopia is the opposite of that completely.
Yeah, but I think you'd find that every power structure, every system, every whatever, it always is going to be controlled, hopefully by a concentrated entity. And the only hope is that concentrated entity is altruistic or good or something like that. But there's actually no other way. There's no other way for anything to be run except for chaos.
Not in JINtopia, because of the transparency in JINtopia, it can't happen. It just cannot happen. No one individual is going to form a group up to overthrow JINtopia.
Unless the people want it. What if the people want it? What if people want dictatorship?
The people in JINtopia will overthrow that.
They won't
want to go back. They don't want to go. Remember, there's no money. They don't want to go back to having to use money again, let's say, and lose all what they've worked hard to get for their freedoms. That would mean throwing away freedom. Remember, we're moving from dictatorship to actual freedom. Is what JINtopia is offering you. Standardized.
So then, Jin, if there's no money, if there's no money, how does the working thing work? Like you just have to do. You said 3 or 4 days a week, and then at what job, or how does that work?
Yeah.
Like you just.
How does that work? Well, okay, that's a very good question. So basically, you've gone to university, you want to be a doctor, let's say. So you go to university for 3 years, you become a doctor, and now you're a doctor. You're working for your own company, or you're working with another organized company, okay? Now you work 3 days a week, and that entitles you to go off to the shops, get your food, travel, and everything else. No money transaction at all, none.
So you're going to have more stuff, so more people's needs are met, yet people are going to be working
what
half
stuff
as
are you
much.
talking about? What stuff are you
Like
talking
basic
about?
needs and necessities.
Yes, these things will be supplied at the supermarket. You yourself as an individual will begin to reduce, because you've got your wealth, that is you yourself. Okay, you're the currency. You go in and get what you need. You don't waste. Wasting will be dramatically reduced because you're not worried about food now and that. It's there in abundance. The farmers are bringing it in. You understand? You can go and select what you need. You don't waste anything.
This is like exactly the same as communism. And
What
this is
about
actually
Jin?
even this actual
how is it
view
the
is
same as
this actual view
This
was
actual?
like made into a parody by like a Greek philosopher. I think it was Homer or something, about like the promise to fill your belly. I'm gonna find this parody for you. This idea has existed since ancient Greece, and the philosophers back then figured out that it was a bad idea, and they made fun of it. So I'm gonna
So
go
Jin,
find
let
that.
me ask you this. Were Sony
Yeah.
DVD and Blu-ray players back in ancient Greece times, were we programmed from childhood to have the same reactions as if we were to take opiates when we buy a name brand Blu-ray player? This shit is all new. The idea of the apple on the tree is pretty old, but we were programmed since children to consume and want the next new Prada purse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty innate that people are just always going to want more things, I mean, just with food, there's the basic rations in JINtopia of like, some canteen biscuits and like instant coffee, that technically supplants the use. But what if I want to have ribeye every day? What if I want to have a gallon of raw milk a day? Like, these are things that I can totally do now. And I would love to have those because I want to have a bunch of energy to be able to do, what I want to do. I want to be able to gain weight. I want to do that with, high quality foods, which my food budget is going to be way, way more than other people.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. If you want rubber every day, if the stocks are available, you can have that every day. What's to stop you? It has to be supply and demand. That's all.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be enough for ribeye every day, because if everybody could get ribeye every day, they would, because everybody loves ribeye.
That was one of my questions for you, Jin. Are you going to have meat?
That's just sweeping generalizer. Silly.
Basically,
meat is going to be there. Meat is there. Meat is here now. Meat is there. Meat will be in JINtopia. You can't stop that.
Is it going to be a meat killing factory? Is it like all AI robots killing animals?
No, it's going to be more. It would be more humane than it is currently the practice. I mean, there are good people out there who rear their animals quite well. Let's not forget that. There are good farmers out there who don't abuse their animal. But of course, that's going to be, the farmers are going to be treating their animals well, man. It's not.
Okay, what about insemination though?
Gone. Sorry?
What about insemination? Is it going to be forced, or are animals going to have their own rights to decide?
I think those who are, depending on the supply that we have to do, because we may have to artificially inseminate because of supply now. Do you understand? But then there'll be farmers who are rearing their animals the natural way, and that's fine. That's going to be good. So both.
Yeah. Do
systems will have to exist.
animals get semination rights? That's funny. I don't know why I find that
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
but-
that'd be a good
I
one.
mean, they
Yeah.
should be able to inseminate naturally. Yeah, they shouldn't be forced
Yeah.
ever.
No, of course not. Exactly that. Yeah.
Semination rights for the animals. I know. I'll go
Yeah,
protest
yeah.
for that. Let's go picket for semination
Yeah.
rights.
So those who want ribeye every day, as long as the supply and stocks are there, also be it. But if it's not there, tough shit. You haven't got it today.
Yeah.
All right.
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point, though. But I have the want for that ribeye, so I have a desire
Well,
that
I
is
couldn't
not
give a
being
fuck
met.
what you want. I couldn't give a fuck whether you want it every day of the week. If it's available, it is. If it isn't, sit down. Simple. Really.
Okay, so JINtopia doesn't provide. So JINtopia doesn't provide for everybody's wants and needs, and then people are going to revolt against
its aim
that.
is to do that, but stocks can run out, can't they? Stocks can run out today. They can run out. Come on, man.
Yeah, so
Well, you need
because
to
I
address
can,
the want, the notion of
Being
want,
silly. No.
that which you don't have.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
Yeah.
want something that I cannot have under JINtopia. There's no way
No,
for
that's
me
not,
to
no,
get
that's
more
not a
of the
JINtopia
ribeye
problem.
rashes.
That's not a JINtopia problem. If you want rabbi every day, okay, if it's available, you can have it every day. Okay, that's simple. But if stocks run out, what do you do when stocks run out? You got to wait. Come on, being unreasonable now.
Yeah, see, but I can do that in the current system. I can have ribeye every day. I can have a gallon of raw milk
Well,
every day.
and stocks never run out. And stocks never run out. And stocks will never run out. Yeah, is that right?
For animals.
No, because
Yeah,
because
Jin, we
I
can't have.
every day forever. Yeah.
No, we have to
Every
get
day
raw
for
milk
10 years.
every day. Come on, that has to be
yeah,
a thing.
because I can work harder to get enough money to where I can afford to have raw milk and a ribeye every single day, which makes me have an incentive to work harder because then I get to have more.
Excuse me.
If
Are the
there's no
stocks there?
incentive,
Are the stocks there? Are the stocks there though? So there's never a case where the stocks run out in ribeye and milk even. They never run out.
in today's
being
society,
silly.
no.
You're
I can
being
have as much
silly.
ribeye as I want.
You're being silly, man. Shut up. You're being silly, man. Get out.
What
of here.
about smoking, Jin? Can they smoke in JINfinity?
No, but
Because
Jin,
what
he's
about
not saying.
smoking?
No, Jin,
Hang on,
his point is that now you can buy ribeyes and raw milk every day. Is what he was saying. So he was just saying that
Yeah,
if
but
in
the
this thing you're
stocks
talking about,
run
if there's no money, then in order to compete with a capitalist system where you can afford the money to buy those every day, then yours would have to be able to give that to everyone if they want it.
Yeah. If the stocks are if the demand is there, the supply will be there. It's as simple as that. I mean,
What
come
about
on, that's
smoking
nothing.
cigarettes?
That's a nothing burger. Now, as for smoking, which actually endangers health here, the smoking of cannabis and that would be promoted. That's fine. I would hope, depending on the people's choice here. Tobacco is not really good for health. Real tobacco, that's fine. But tobacco from cigarettes from the tobacconist, that's got so many chemicals in, we don't really want it. But again, if the people want to smoke, good luck to them. And they voted
No,
in,
like-
good luck to them.
But then
Like,
what
I'm
about the
making-
hospital? Okay, go ahead. Yes, go.
Like I'm making a specific point with the ribeye. I'm not just randomly talking about, oh, I want ribeye. It's that in the current way, if I want to have more
Yeah.
things, I can work harder to
Yeah.
get more things because my want
Yes.
for like high quality food is more than
Yes.
other people.
Yes.
So I'm going
That will
to
be available in JINtopia. It is available in JINtopia. You
No,
want to be the
JINtopia-
highest- Again, you're making situations that will not be occurring in JINtopia. If you want to have ribeye every day, you can have it as long as stocks are available. That's
That's
all
the
I'm
point, is that
saying.
the stocks could not be available because ribeye is the most precious meat in the cow, more or less. So everybody will
Yeah.
want it. And so the
Hang on.
stocks
So
will
are
not
you
be
telling
enough
me?
to
Are
give
you
it to
telling
everybody.
me? Are you telling me that a butcher in America never runs out of ribeye? Never runs out. Never.
There's
Come
never
on.
been a time where I cannot get ribeye.
Well,
Because
I
it's
don't know,
priced
but
more
I
expensively.
I think you're still being. You're lucky that where you live, they supply the ribeye because the demand is there. That's why you're able to get it. And like I said, if the demand is
I
there,
found it.
it will be available. Come on.
It's
Come on.
more
I found it.
expensive. It's more expensive to make up
Thank
for
you.
the fact that it is more rare and that it is more desired.
Look,
And-
if hang on a second, if the demand for ribeye is there, it will be supplied in JINtopia. There won't be a problem. You're making a big mountain out of a small molehill here. Okay, you'll get your ribeye if you want it. If the demand is there.
Animal slavery.
There's only stop with your retarded veganism bullshit that you're putting in here.
Can I say something at some point?
No, I'm not.
That's
I'm not a
hard.
vegan, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
That's
not
right.
talking
listen,
about you.
So it's a play called The Assembly Women, written in 390 BC by Aristophanes. Play invents a scenario where women of Athens assume control of the government and institute reforms that ban private wealth and enforce sexual equality for old and unattractive. So this is like a satire, but like a lot of the things this guy says, like here we go. Compulsory
Okay, well,
universal community property, what was proposed across board economic equality to fill those fissures that scar society's face. No more the division between rich and poor. We'll wear the same clothes and share the same food. My initial move will be to communalize land and money and all other property, personal and real. But take the landless man who's invisibly wealthy because he hides his silver and gold in his pockets. What about him? We'll deposit it all in a fund. I'll knock out the walls and remodel the city into a big, happy household where all can come and go as they choose. I'm pooling the women, creating a public hoard for the use of every man who wishes to take them into bed and make babies. A system like this requires a pretty wise father to know his own children. But why? Why does he need to? The age of the new centurion, children will henceforth trace their descent from all men who might have begotten them. Who's going to work the land and produce the food? The slaves. This leaves you just one civic function. When the shades of night draw on, slip seeker down to dinner. The state's not going to stint. Its hand is full and open. The state is not going to stint. Its hand is not full. Its hand is full and open. This is promising food. Its heart is large. It stuffs its folk free of charge. Then issues them torches when dinner's done and sends them out to hunt for fun. So this is like pre-communism or pre-socialism or whatever. This is like a play where they're making fun of these ideas of like communalizing property and stuff because they figured out that it was a bad idea back then. Yeah, and it's been a bad idea. It's been a bad idea pretty much every time it's been practiced. All of communist history documents how it's a bad idea to communalize property and take away the idea of private property. It basically once you communalize property and you get rid of the idea of private property, there's no such thing as theft anymore. You can just take whatever and nothing can be done.
Okay, let's calm down a little bit with that. What you put forward there, was that by Aristophanes, did you say? Was that by Aristophanes? Yeah, Aristophanes. Yeah, Aristophanes, yeah, or Eratosthenes, whichever way you want to pronounce that. Is this the same one that supposedly measured the curvature of the earth? That Aristophanes?
No.
Okay, all right, okay.
He's an ancient Greek comic and playwright from Athens. He wrote a total of 40 plays, of which 11 survive, virtually complete today. The majority of the surviving plays belong in the genre of comedic drama known as old comedy and are considered the most valuable examples. Aristophanes' plays were performed at religious festivals in Athens.
JINtopia is nothing like what you just read there. Okay, nothing.
It literally sounded. There was multiple things that sounded very similar.
JINtopia is nothing to do with what you just read. Nothing at all. Because we're talking about moving from this current system we're in now, tyranny, enslavement, into real freedom, where money has been removed. Okay, governments have gone.
Yeah, you're communalizing property.
What I'm saying here, you interrupt what I'm saying.
Well, you're saying it doesn't sound like it, but look what it says. I just read this to you.
Hang on. Governments have gone. Okay, now you still have to work. So you've got to work for your freedom. So where the money has gone, you become the currency. You are the money now yourself. Your human body.
That's what it says right here. That's what it says. Yeah, I just quoted it to you.
Excuse me. You're not letting me.
You've already made a point, and I'm trying to address it. You're trying to drown out anything else with multiple points.
I've actually got a number of points to make it.
If you were honest, you would just let me criticize this first point.
Well,
and it's the fact that you said this has nothing to do. This has nothing to do with JINtopia.
Hang on a minute. You
said this has nothing to do with JINtopia, but your first example, was something I just directly read to you.
Yes, that's what.
What about the man who's invisibly wealthy? Will take what he hides in silver and gold in his pockets and will deposit it in a fund, like you said. No more money. It's exactly like what the playwright writes.
Dude, you guys, we need some government here. This is out of control.
Well, he never stops, bro. He never stops. Like, you need to put a timer on him. You need to put a timer on him.
Officials.
I'm actually.
You guys got to at least go one at a time.
Yeah. I'm just trying to explain the differences between what
he made a single point. He doesn't want it to get addressed.
No,
he will never actually like give a fair amount of mic time.
You're interrupting me here. I'm just trying to get it out all in one go.
You can stay under 30 seconds. I would
play out all in one go. You were able to read your play all in one go. No one interrupted you. I'm just trying to respond to what you've said, and you're interrupting me. So,
but the first thing you said was untrue.
Excuse me, you're not letting me finish still. Can I please complete what I want to say? Can I do that?
The first point you made was untrue, and you tried to move on to another point.
Still interrupting me here. You're still interrupting me. I heard your play. I want to respond to what your play puts forward. That's all I'm trying to do.
The first point was a blatant lie.
I'm going to address all the points. I'm going to address all the
first one you made was a blatant lie.
I'm going to address all the points in one go when I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go now. Are you ready to listen? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right now, as I've said, what that play puts forward is nothing like JINtopia. Okay, because what we're talking about here is that you actually have the freedom, but you're going to have to work for that freedom. That's not in slavery, because you've got to work in order to live on this earth. Okay, that's the farmers, doctors, mechanics, plumbers, engineers, teachers. Everybody has to work. Lawyers, if they're there, police, security. Everybody has to work. That cannot be seen as enslavement. To work to exist clearly, and in the system that we're trying to establish in JINtopia, we're going to need to be working in order to get our food, for example, and our clothing, and our vehicles, and our homes, and the things we need. That's not slavery, is it? That's your freedom to do that. Simple as that. That's all I'm saying. It's not communist because you all have different houses, different types of cars, clothing, styles of music. You're all living your own way. Religion is there. You're living your life. Your culture hasn't changed. Okay, so I don't see that as the play.
It's quite literally communist. It doesn't matter if you have different clothing or whatever. I mean, that is something I guess that is different between you and this play. But this play does talk about the end of people having their own money, right? I mean, and that was the first point you made. So right off the bat, this directly mirrors your worldview. And the idea of people making no money and just being
no, you want to have money?
Yes, 100%.
What kind of money?
It's a
crypto.
It's a very useful.
What kind of money do you want?
I
Crypto?
I personally believe gold, silver, whatever.
You want to go back to having physical gold and silver?
Yes, yeah. Because the thing is, it sounds stupid, but if we were I believe that if we were trading in gold and silver, we would all be probably like 20 times as wealthy as we are right now. Like the amount of things we could buy and stuff. But that's just because essentially you'd be cutting out this middleman, this usury system that essentially we get taxed and levied interest on us every time we move money from one place to another. So our energy is constantly taxed 10%, 5%, 30%, repeatedly over and over again. If you took all those in between out and everyone did their business privately with like elements, I believe it would just be so much more efficient.
Nah, too many people have died unnecessarily for this money. When you look at it, all the illegal wars, space budgets, poisonous medicines that we're living under now, dictatorship, enslavement, and tyranny, that doesn't wash down well with the poisonous drinks, the fluoride water. Sorry, mate. No, I would never vote for that. I'd vote for what the Creator created at the very beginning. True freedom. Everything was there in abundance for free, and we were to maintain that. We weren't to put a price on it, thus devaluing ourselves and then also devaluing the earth itself. And then you have this bad practice of just slaying and destroying the environment as we go with our poisons and chemicals. No, I will always vote for freedom, real freedom, and JINtopia actually tries to address that and standardize things and still give you your real freedom. And you have to work, of course, because God puts us on this to work.
I was just thinking about that, Jin. Are you going to teach about God in the school then with the children?
Well, of course, religion is there, isn't it? Everybody has religion. We've got to learn about each other. And these religions are there. So you're going to learn about each other's religion and learn not to point the finger. That's the thing, right? Whatever happened bad, you wasn't around for that. So don't be harboring any negativity here. You're living now, and now you're getting on with people who are living together beautifully, and that's what you want to do. Okay, regardless, you forgive, never forget, but forgive and move forward. That's what you teach. You see, all religions are welcomed, of course, provided they don't go around slaying one another. You know what I mean? Because that can't happen in JINtopia, of course. Money is the root to all disaster and evil. That's what's going on.
Real quick.
Boys, go ahead.
In JINtopia, right, there's going to be a lot less work that needs to be done. We're going to get rid of planned obsolescence. That's going to wipe like 9/10 of the work off the table, possibly a half, maybe. It's a nice chunk of work's going to be off the block now. To get rid of planned obsolescence, right? So there's that. Another thing is we're gonna whip in some automation in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Geo wants robots in every room. We get the robots out and we have them do some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Roombas, whatever. Like you can automate a lot of this stuff. So, you automate the driving, all the stuff. And then you have even less work that needs to be done now. You know what I'm saying?
There's also a way, like there's another, I'm not really pushing for this or asserting it. I'm just saying there's another way you can do it where there's like the old like universal basic income thing. So let's say like in our world today, like in the United States, like if someone's making like 150,000, that's like plenty to live. I think everyone would agree. A lot would say it's even a lot more. I mean, like some people make 30, 40, 50, but I'm just like putting it up. Let's just say 150. If everybody got like a base 150 or even 100, whatever it is, where they could definitely like raise a family and have everything, but that's not necessarily enough to buy anything like a Lamborghini maybe. Well, I guess it would be if you saved up over time. But I guess what I'm getting at is that there would be a way to maybe like make it to where you get like a universal basic income thing, but then and that's like enough to live on, even if you want to call it minimum wage or like whatever that is, or like 50,000 a year, whatever, in different countries it's different, but even if you want it, or whether it's a bit more than that, but either way, and then, you still would, like in Jin's idea, like Jin's thing, you would still be working a certain amount, or you would have some kind of a way, that you'd be still contributing in some way, even to get that universal basic one. But then if you want more, then there could still be the ability to potentially, but that would still be with money, I guess. That would still be with using money. But then the idea would then be like, if you wanted to actually make more, so you could buy, a yacht or something, in addition to that, then you could, work harder. Instead of working 20 hours a week, you could do 40 hours a week, and then you could make more. You could do 60 hours a week if you really wanted to, something like, if you really wanted to make more than that, and then go above and beyond, if you wanted to buy something that's, you know, more extravagant. But that would still be with money. But that could still be in. That's like an idea that's been discussed. But that could be like even in a transitionary thing at some point if that were to ever happen.
Well, let me address this.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yes, I heard about that in this system. But I think what Jeremy put forward, you know, the built-in obsolescence gone, that's going to free up more free time. And with that free time, you can go out and enjoy Antarctica. Look for the 24-hour sun if you wish. You understand? You can see more of this Earth that we're not able to see right now because of government's interventions and restrictions. You see, so you'd have more free time. And remember, that travel is not going to cost you any money. You understand? There'll be organized tours to go.
Doug,
Yeah.
listen. Yeah, you get rid of
Go
planned
ahead.
obsolescence. You got us working way too much in JINtopia. 3-4 days a week, dude. That's fucking crazy, bro. I'm thinking like one day. Tops. Maybe not even. A couple hours a week.
Well, that's what I was saying.
every
20
other week.
hours. Yeah, 20 hours is like 2 full days, or maybe one really like a really long
One
day
day,
and a
bro.
half.
8 hours, one day. That's all you need. You get everything done. If you just get rid of the planned obsolescence, the lady doesn't need to be sitting at Walmart selling you plastic cheap crap that's going to break in 3 days from China. You know what I'm saying? We're making the light bulbs last forever. You don't need to have the guy shipping light bulbs in nonstop. He's freed up a lot of time. The lady at the counter doesn't have to sell them nonstop. The guy who's mining the metal and the glass for the light bulbs, he doesn't have to work as hard because we just don't need as many light. You know what I'm saying? It would just getting rid of the planned obsolescence alone would free up so many man hours. It would be unbelievable.
Yeah, I follow that, but you're still gonna have to put in some hours to work to entitle you to be living
One
for
day,
free and
Jin.
get all your gifts. Yeah, I don't know. I did say 3 days minimum, 3 to 4 days
No,
is what I
one day
envisaged, not
tops.
1 day. I can't imagine it 1 day. No, you're gonna be working.
We're
a bit
sending
more
you to
than that.
Slacker
I do
Island.
think.
You're going to Slacker Island.
Yeah, you couldn't be just doing 1 day and be getting no. You're gonna have to be working.
If you want to work too
3
much,
days
you're
minimum.
you're going to Slacker.
Yeah.
SI. Give you the old SI.
And then you've got your freedom. You know, you've got your freedom. You can go anywhere around the world you want at any time you choose.
Except the
And China
animals.
wouldn't. Well, the animals don't roam around now anyway. They'll have less stress from humanity. That's what they'll enjoy their freedom because less stress.
Well, how
What
much
about
vacation
the
do you get then,
slaughterhouses?
Jin? Like, how much vacation do you get? And do they regulate, like they make you work? Because then, like, well, I mean, how often can you just say, hey, I want to go fly to Italy and go out on a yacht and
Right.
take a jet ski in a yacht for 2 weeks?
That's a
I
very
have
good one.
multiple things.
I'm basing that on the current holiday systems that have been established around the world. You keep those, and if you wanted to extend it, maybe you get special leave there, but then you'd have to pay that back later on. Okay, that's all.
I have
But
multiple
no
issues.
problem.
I have multiple
No
issues
problem.
of things that
No
got
problem.
said. No problem with the vacations, Gio. No problem. But there's multiple issues. One of them is the thing you're bringing up right now, Gio. Another one is the ribeyes. Another one is the gold and silver. Gold and silver to use as currency, bad idea. We got to get rid of that whole notion. Plus, we need the gold and silver for cell phones and electric vehicles and stuff. All right, that can be debated, but we're trying to get rid of money as a whole. If you keep gold and silver, we're gonna have the same issue. If you're gonna be stockpiling it, corrupt, trying to get more gold and silver. So there's that. The ribeye, that's a good problem. The ribeye and the traveling and the jet skis and stuff. It's like, yo, everyone's gonna want ribeyes, right? So we have so many cows right now. We have so many cows. We know how many cows we make. We know how many ribeyes we can get a year. Hold on, Jen. We know how many ribeyes we can get every year, and we know how many people there are. You take a poll, say who wants ribeyes. Lots of people are gonna say yes. You figure out how many ribeyes you got, how many people want ribeyes. You divide it up. If it's like, yo, we want more people, the people are like, we want more ribeye outside the White House or something. You're like, okay, guys, we got this, and we start producing more ribeye. Like, it's not a big deal. Whatever we need, we can just make. Like, what can't we make?
Yeah, exactly. And you can order it from your house. So once we got all the orders in for ribeye and everyone wants it every day of the week, you supply them. I don't see a problem there, really.
I'm just saying, if we come to the realization that, oh shit, we need more ribeye, quit. You know what I'm saying? We need more ribeyes. People are not happy because there's not enough ribeye. You just start making more ribeyes.
So
Like,
start kidnapping cows and then enslaving the cows.
It's just food, dude.
Well, we're not going to enslave the cows in that sense, my man, because they're going to be living.
They are going to be enslaved, and then we're going to eat them. No, they're enslaved.
Well, I'm not going to. I wouldn't put it down to. I'm not going to put it down to enslavement. They're going to be out in the world enjoying their life, and then once they reach the time, we're going to bring them to the market to be slaughtered. Yeah, that's going to happen, of course, because people want to eat ribeye. Okay.
Yeah, like we just make more ribeye. You know what I'm saying? If we need more lobsters, we're like, okay, well, let's figure something out. You know, if it's a limited resource on Earth, it's like, well, you know, let's say we can only catch this many lobsters here. Maybe we can look at, I don't know, repopulating lobsters and making lobster places in the ocean. I don't know, dude. Like, we'll figure it out, though. There's nothing that can't be solved. There's no problem that can't be solved.
Yeah. No problem. That's right. Now look at the current system we're in now. Look at how much meat is wasted around the world today. And that's the crime there. That crime will stop in JINtopia. Meat will be used complete. Wastage will be a thing of the past. Look at what we're wasting now. JINtopia standardized and levels that down so that the wastage is reduced dramatically. Yeah, you know JINtopia makes sense, everybody. You know it makes sense. Come on.
Unless you're an animal.
I still think that JINtopia treats animals better there than we're currently doing now. Come on, even the animals are going to have a better time of it, of course.